Hello, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast here on Boss Rush Games. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me is the Colonel himself, Mr. Joe Wilson, Colonel Panic.
Hiya.
Also here is the lore archivist himself, Mr. Josh Finney.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Hiya.
I'm back. I took a week off.
Yeah. Jesse's taking his week off this week. Does this mean next week's my turn?
Yeah.
Tag week?
Yes.
I'm just going to tag out.
It's going to be complete pandemonium without you two.
Oh, man. Next week is super exciting. I love Halloween. I realize that we're not trick-or-treating this year, but whatever. But also my birthday is on Friday.
Ooh.
So it's like Halloween's such a super intense. And then we are so close to a new console.
Oh my god.
So close.
We're so
I'm
close.
very, very, very ready for this long wait to be over.
Yes.
Yeah, you think being a kid and getting a new console is exciting? Try being an adult where you're in control of when and how you get it.
And you're
It's
just like
way better.
you're just refreshing the Amazon app like 50 times a day. You're
Yeah.
just waiting for it to give you the updated delivery date, because right now it still says, we're preparing your order. Like, no, I want you to tell me when it's showing up on my doorstep.
Yes. I want a big fat note. It says it's going to arrive
I
at this
live
time.
next to 9 warehouses by you guys and a major international airport. I expect it day one.
Oh man, they should do. They should have sold Xbox. I guess they could do the same for PlayStation, but like they should sell doormats where it's like deliver my Xbox here.
Oh my
Type
god.
thing.
That'd be
Like a little
great.
like
100%
spot for it.
I mean,
I would have to have 2 doormats outside because we have one that has Chewbacca on it and it says Chewie, we're home. But I would totally put the Xbox one like outside my garage or something.
it's pretty
Oh,
awesome, actually.
It's pretty great.
Man, yeah, speaking of packages, I got a great new toy this week. So Joe recommended me a gaming monitor for that had a high refresh rate and everything. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll try it. I'm gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna get it. So I ordered it. Right, I ordered it. Whatever. It comes and I start setting it up. And Josh and I'm trying to set it up on Tower Casuals this past week. And I'm like, Josh, I think I got the wrong monitor. Like I could only get like 60 hertz at 1080p or something, and then I like went through the settings of the TV, and I was like, Josh, I think I got the wrong monitor, and my frown turned into a smile because I ordered the 1440p Samsung something CGH70 or something, and it's like the Samsung whatever their 4K model is that does 120, and it's like probably like $600 more than the one that I paid for. And yeah, it's really nice. It's yeah, let me tell you, games, I didn't know there was this much detail in games, and I have a nice 4K TV. I mean, it's not great, but it's better than most people have, right? Like it's a Samsung 8 series TV. It has one HDMI 2.1 port, whatever. It's great. But this, can't wait to watch porn on this thing.
So
I'm just kidding.
That's a drastic left turn.
I
Just kidding.
will be completely transparent, and I find it odd to have porn on anything large anymore. It's meant to be super small
Or in
and
VR.
handheld.
Or in VR.
But yeah, I was always the type of person that whenever, and I've done this almost every new console or like big. So around my birthday, I'm like, oh, what am I going to refresh in my system? So when the PlayStation 4 came out, I got a new surround sound system, and I like upgraded all my cables so that when it comes, I can just like plug it in, and it's like, ooh, it's a whole new experience. And I always had a TV, but once you switch to an actual gaming monitor, it is drastically different, and you're surprised at like how much more you can play competitive games when it's a smaller screen, so you don't have to look around. Like it is a game changer. Anybody that doesn't have a gaming monitor, I would urge you to consider it, especially now that you don't need a cable input or an antenna input or anything like that. Like the odds are if you hook your Xbox up to it, you can play all of your media like on that device.
Yeah, I watched the Browns game on it today through my Xbox.
And it's probably looks better than your TV set.
Oh, it did. It did. I was like, man, there's grass on the
Sucks.
field. It's not just a green carpet.
Blur. Yeah. It really kind of sucks that like it's so great to have like such a tiny screen that's just super sharp.
I would really like to get another one and just have two of them on my desk and have my main computer on the side table over there where like I'm looking at you guys through the Skype video, which is why I'm looking at you guys sideways. But man, yeah, I don't know why I was not doing this before, but I don't think I'm ever going to go back to a TV.
Yeah, I don't. It's tough. It's really tough. If you do it, it's a novelty.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you could play God of War on a TV, like a big TV, and it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll have extra hookups out there on the TV just in case I want to move the box back and forth for a while. But like, man, I don't think I'll be playing anything out there ever again. Except maybe my Switch, because it really doesn't matter.
When I first got my gaming monitor, it was still like I still had like the Xbox like hooked up to the TV most of the time.
Yeah.
But I would then like unhook the cable from my receiver and like plug it into like my gaming monitor, and I would like put it behind the couch, and I would lay on the floor behind our couch in our living room and play like while my wife watched TV.
Yeah.
And it was like the weirdest, most like janky setup that like it's seriously like I felt like a kid all over again, because then you want to go through, and I think you were doing this when we logged on, but like you want to go through and play all the games that you haven't played in a while. But like, I wonder what this game looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what this game looks like.
Well, let me tell you the list of games I went through. I went through Halo Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, Gears 5, Destiny, Hellblade, Jedi Fallen Order, which looks really good, by the way, Overwatch, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Monster Hunter, Battlefront 2, and like I could, my eyes were like I didn't know what to think. I thought my brain was exploding. I thought I was having an aneurysm.
You know what game I wish after you mentioned it would get some next gen treatment?
What?
Battlefront.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a third one probably coming.
I mean, their contract has got to be up soon, right? I don't know how long it was.
2024.
If that's the case, then it would be silly if they don't do it.
I mean, we know sequel to Fallen Order is coming, right?
I think the contract is... Yeah, so sequel for Fallen Order is in development right now, as far as we know. That's, I believe, pegged for 2022. I haven't heard anything about a Battlefront 3, though.
It's been
as
pretty
far as I know,
silent.
they're pretty happy with how 2 turned around. But, I mean, as soon as they finished the DLC for that, like, it was basically down to a skeleton crew.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if they're actually going to work on another Battlefront right now, because Battlefront 2 is probably the best multiplayer Star Wars game there's ever been. At this point, like, after all the fixes, all the free DLC, everything like that, I don't really want to go through a third game where I have to wait for these things to be delivered yet again. Because we went through this Battlefront 1, we went through this Battlefront 2 on the OG systems. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do better. I bet after Squadrons, I think they'd be crazy to not consider a bigger scale game like that. Like, I'd love some 12-on-12 or 16-on-16 fights, an expanded campaign. Maybe
I can't believe that game's not getting
eras.
DLC.
Well, it's funny that we're talking about Battlefront 2, because that was born out of Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Motive designed the starship segments, and everybody liked it so much, they're like, oh, we'll just make a whole game around this. And I think it was smart to not do a $60 game and to be like, no, this is it. And like really hammer home, like there's no DLC, there's not gonna be any paid cosmetics, nothing like that. I 100% could see them walking it back, though, and coming out at E3 next year and saying, "Oh, we're gonna do a campaign DLC for this game. Instead of making y'all wait for like 3 years, we're gonna put out a $15 DLC this fall."
Yeah.
I could absolutely see that happening.
Yeah.
So it's Star Wars; it'll sell.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that like your expectations of like a $40 game are like it and it makes sense that like you have a $40 game, you're like, I'm probably not going to get DLC or anything for this, but you pay more for the game. You're like, I hope there's content that I can buy afterwards.
Yeah.
I hope I can pay more for this game later.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's weird. So, But yeah, this gaming monitor. Thanks for the recommendation, Joe. Thanks. And
Hey,
also,
one thing that I'm happy to do, anytime someone's like, "Oh, I need a cable or a piece of tech or a speaker or a headphone," I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, I like to do a little bit of research."
so also thanks to Amazon for giving me this other monitor that I did not order, but is clearly better. So
that's awesome.
Clearly.
Also, Josh, I know you're going to get a big kick out of this. I am redoing some of the shelving stuff in my office. I ordered 3 more shelves, but I have 3 long shelves that line the top of my office, and I put every single Disney Infinity on these 3 shelves. It's amazing.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. It's awesome. Let me see if I can tilt it up and see if it...
I have like a million amiibo up, so...
Well, you can't see, can you? Oh, I'm going to break something, but it's all right.
Oh, wait, I added these to my shelf.
Can you see them? Can you see them?
I can see their heads.
Yeah.
I see the Figment collection also.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Bungie had the Destiny scented candles?
Jeez.
I do.
This is the moon.
What does the moon smell like?
Potpourri. None of these smell like what I imagine they smell like.
It smells like Eris's undergarments.
I would think they would all just like smell like ass.
So
because you're out in space on alien planets.
I think a lot of it would smell like atmosphere. But let me
Eris's undergarments.
Anybody that's making a candle, for anybody that's a candle enthusiast out there, don't make anything that doesn't smell like food. The best candles all smell like something I can eat. And if it's anything else, it smells like deodorant. And that's not the best thing to have like throughout my house.
Like my mom always has candles at her house called Fresh Laundry or Ocean Breeze. I'm like,
Ocean Breeze.
How do you even know what that smells like?
And it doesn't smell like that. I've been to the ocean. There's a lot of fish smell mixed in.
My favorite candle, I think, that we have is one that it says Irish hot coffee. And let me tell you something. It smells like Irish cream. It authentically smells like it. And it is a wonderful smell.
There's one candle that doesn't smell like food that I like the scent of, and it's called Cedar Tobacco. And it's because it smells like wood and tobacco, which are also kind of like pleasing scents. Unsmoked tobacco, not stale cigarette smell. But
wacky tobacco.
It smells good. I don't know. That was a tangent.
Yeah. Well, that's what this show's all about, right? It wouldn't be a Boss Rush show without a good tangent. So
yeah, this wasn't sandwiches.
Hey man, let me tell you, I made 2 really delicious turkey sandwiches today, but neither of them are as good as Earl's sandwiches.
I need to get one. I need to get an Earl sandwich.
It's so good. Anyways, we'll save sandwich casuals for next week's Tower Casuals. I know Josh gets upset now. I think I've turned Josh's favorite sandwich place into a nightmare every week.
I'm tortured by it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Anyways, sorry, I got a weird message. So, guys, speaking of Boss Rush shows, I put out a tweet in a Facebook post regarding this show, and I did make an announcement earlier this week that I am leaving my post as host on Nintendo Power Block so I can focus more on this show and the Xbox side of the content and Tower Casuals and stuff. And I'm leaving it in good hands. We all know Ed was built to host a Nintendo podcast. So, I did ask for some feedback on this show to see what we could do to make it better or make some changes. No, we're not turning it into a PlayStation podcast. You assholes who wrote in to say that. But we did get a lot of constructive feedback. So how do you guys want to do this? You want me to read one at a time and then we kind of address that one? Or do you want me to read them all and then we just kind of take it all as a whole and have a discussion about it?
Dealer's choice.
What? Dealer's choice. Oh, what? Okay.
One at a time.
Okay, we'll do one at a time. So, I have 4 here, and I'm not gonna I'm not doing this to toot our own horn. I'm trying to do this to just have a conversation about this show, and hopefully people write in more stuff on what we could do to change it up. So Greg Osterman III, he says, "Hey guys, I saw the call out for feedback on this show in particular, and I have to say this. I've been listening to the show since about episode 40, and I really like Corey taking over as host from Ed. No offense, Ed. The addition of Josh and Joe and making it more casual conversation show about the news and stuff has made the show better. I feel like you could be the next PS I Love You, Sacred Symbols Xcast. Well, that's is that a high bar?
That's a pretty high bar.
I would love the show to be longer and have some top of the show chatter about whatever, and maybe a segment where you guys recommend a game that is coming out and looks cool even if you have no intention on playing it. You guys are just like the rest of us, not getting games for free or really giving your opinion on the Xbox, how the Xbox is doing, and I really appreciate that. You're my favorite, quote, indie Xbox podcast out there. Sorry, Xbox Expansion Pass and Xbox Drive, they are. Sorry to them too, I guess. Sorry. Also, surprised you guys haven't launched some sort of Patreon for this. I love bonus content like spoiler cast, Q&A, Game Pass discussions, whatever. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication to the show, and I can't wait to see what else you guys have in store for it. So, thoughts on Greg's comments?
I will say that the one that stood out to me is, Greg, I appreciate the feedback. And talking about getting games for free that we're like a regular person, I also understand that, but at the same time, I will sell out the moment I have a chance to get games for free and peddle the worst shit to you guys. Let me tell you. No, that's a half joke.
This is how we get Technomancer 2.
Hey, man. Technomancer was a game that existed, and I played.
I played it.
So
I tried to play it.
Yeah. I pressed buttons hoping things would happen.
It has a cool soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like, I've listened to that more than I've played the game. No, I think that's awesome. It's really cool to see someone that listens to other podcasts like write in and review and be like, hey, based on this and other ones I listen to, like, I still prefer listening to you guys or enjoy in the same crowd as. Like, that's awesome. I don't know if we can. I don't want to be the one to, like, we've talked about Patreon stuff. Like, there's discussions happening.
Yeah.
Is that an okay thing to say?
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned it on other shows.
All right.
The whole thing is, like, how do we do Patreon for Boss Rush? That's the whole discussion going on right now, and I kind of, in a roundabout way, kind of given Megan that job to figure it out because I am not smart enough. I'm like the guy who has an idea business wise, but I'm not really smart enough to tackle that idea, right? And so I find someone who's smarter than I am to figure that out and maybe figure that out. She did pitch the idea of maybe we do a Patreon per thing and like we have our own channel and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if I would go that far because I would actually like to keep us smaller as a group instead of because I feel like if we split off that way, that's too much. And a lot of us are parents, a lot of us have real jobs and other responsibilities, and maybe don't want to do this 10 to 12 hours a day. Although if it was the only thing I was doing, I would do it too, 10 to 12 hours a day. But
absolutely.
But that honestly, the Patreon thing is something that we are kind of discussing. I kind of want to have a meeting with everybody at some point, if we can, to get everybody's idea on that. If it's a good idea, bad idea, how do we get there, etc., whatever. But
I would like to know and as much as Greg, I appreciate the support and willingness to join a Patreon without being aware of any of the perks that we would have to offer. What would you guys want to see, like, from a Patreon? I've belonged to a couple Patreons, and I usually get a couple months in, and then either I will actively cancel the subscription or something will happen, like I'll get a new credit card or whatever, and then I just won't go and change the information because although I want to support that thing, I always my interest kind of peters out because the Patreon itself doesn't have the core thing that I was looking to get. You know what I mean?
And like usually the main thing that I like about the Patreons is free. Like the podcast, like whatever their main podcast is free, whether it's like early access or ads or whatever. Like, okay, well, I can handle a 30-second ad every half hour and 45 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's
no, I totally agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Joe.
No, I just ramble. So anyway, that was the short thing. Is like, what if there was a Patreon? I would like to know what you'd be interested in, or let's talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, he said bonus content like spoiler cast, Q&A, Game Pass discussions, whatever. I mean, I think it's something we have to talk about as a group and as a team. Yeah. You know, it really is. And I know we've been talking about Boss Rush 3.0 coming up. Our second anniversary is coming up in a couple weeks, actually. And, you know, if we're going to do this, we're not going to rush into it. You know, we're not going to have it ready for that, obviously. But like, I would like to, it's got to be a team discussion first and then kind of get feedback from the audience at the same time and kind of find the happy medium of those two things, you know? So, but Josh, sorry, I think I cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, thanks for the comments, Greg, and for the nice words. I definitely agree with you though on, what you said you would want to see on a Patreon. I'd love to have some Game Pass discussions or some spoiler casts eventually. I'd really like to get to a point where we can have those, where, Joe and Corey and I and Jesse can all go like in depth on Halo's story or on the Gears expansion that's coming out, on these things that are near and dear to our hearts. And I especially really like the idea you have on there where we recommend a game that's coming out that looks cool, even if we have no intention of playing it. I like that you say that because I'm the king of saying that something looks really awesome and that I'll follow the development of, and then I'll never pick it up. I will never touch it.
Yeah.
It's actually become a running joke between us and or between me and a friend of the show, Ray Apollo, that I say that about like 2/3 of the games in a Nintendo Direct or in an Xbox showcase, and then I just don't play them. I stick to my first parties, my handful of third parties. But Scarlet Nexus is a perfect example. I think the game looks really rad, but it's just way too Japanese for me. But I'm going to enjoy watching so many streams of that. Demon Souls, I'm going to enjoy watching streams of that, but I'll never touch it.
Why do I feel like Ray's going to pick that up day one and just play it all day? I feel like that's a Ray game.
It is the exact phrasing that I said when I saw that game for the first time was I told him, I was like, that is the most Ray ass thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's what I've got on Greg's feedback. Thanks, Greg. Glad you like the show. Yeah.
I'm glad you're willing to give us money when we don't even tell you what we're giving you. All right, we're going to move on. Cody Alexander writes, and he says, hey, guys, I just found your show because of the giveaway, but I'm really glad I found you guys. There was a tweet about feedback, and I wanted to say this. I think the show could be longer, in all honesty. You guys have great chemistry and seems like a lot of inside jokes and friendship. I'd like to hear more conversation about Xbox collectibles, weekly pickups, or more Halo talk. Joe has my heart with Halo, and I would love to hear more. See you all online. So, I mean, this show would suck if we weren't all friends, right? I mean,
yeah. For sure.
If we were like, we hated each other, I mean, that would suck.
It is funny that we played like Destiny together once, and I was like, oh, this is normal. This feels normal.
Yeah.
Because I am a pretty... I do not like to talk to people that I don't like to talk to.
Yeah,
like,
same. No,
yeah, it's just like I think that at a certain point, either it's a certain age or I think for me personally, I think it was a lot of the time when I became a parent, it was just like oh, I don't have time for anything anymore. If I do not enjoy the conversation, I will literally just walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to be rude. It's just
I mean, I do it
self-preservation.
too, so.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. Like, even if we're like reaching out for like guests and stuff, I usually that's look. The only reason I think 1v1 still exists as long as it has is because Celeste likes to talk to random people and interview them. And I'm like, well, there's a show where we do that, and guess what? I don't like to do that, but I think it's interesting to have as content. So if you would like to do that, here you go.
That's awesome.
I mean, there are a few people that I would like to interview. I honestly wasn't planning on 1v1 being a weekly thing. Just because for that exact reason is like, oh, I don't really care to talk to people. And, you know, reaching out to people is kind of hard, you know, especially when they're like semi-important or do things, you know, outside of this and stuff. But yeah, I mean, when we were playing Destiny, Joe, I was like, man, he's cool. Sure, I'll add him on Xbox, and then I guess now you're here. You're stuck.
Yeah. It just felt normal. Like there's such a risk when you get into nerd culture. I feel like you run the risk of when you talk to somebody that's like, hey, I have an interest in that too. There's like 3 scenarios that are going to happen, and 2 of them are more likely than the third. Either that person knows way more than you do about that subject, in which case you feel kind of alienated, so you either try to have to meet them or be like, oh, I like it, but I don't like it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't know nearly enough as you do, in which case it does the opposite, where you're just like, oh, I don't want to talk like this low level about this type of thing. I would like to talk a little bit differently. And then there's the rare chance that someone has like the same level interest and you guys talk similar. Like, meaning you can it'd be like, oh, I can talk casually, and I don't feel like a dumbass if I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel every episode of Tower Casuals, where Josh is talking all this lore and stuff that I haven't researched, and I'm like, cool. Yeah. I'm interested in that too.
Oh man!
Sometimes.
So I've been trying to like research. So I love playing Destiny. I do like Destiny a lot, but I am not like the number crunching armor build person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that's probably the last little hurdle I have to get in Destiny. Becoming like an average player to like a slightly better than average player.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I need to do that, but every time I start to watch a video about someone, like, here's what you would want to build for this, and like these are what these things do. I'm like, I don't want to know all these too many facts and figures that interact with one another, and I don't know how anybody does it. And then I talk to like a couple friends of mine, and they're like, oh, here's what you want to do. I'm like, can you just do it for me? Can I just give you my account and you tell me what I have that will work? I need an AI robot. I need an AI assistant. That's what I need. They can just look at my inventory and do that for me. Anyway, sorry. That was a big tangent.
No, it's so Josh, do you have anything to say about this?
No, Cody, all I want to say is, thanks for the kind words. We are a group of friends that really likes getting together and doing this. We feel bad when one of us can't be here. Obviously we're missing Jesse this week. I was gone last week, Joe the week before. Kind of taking our last, unplanned last little breaks before, we dive full on into next gen, over the coming months. And I promise you, there will be Halo content coming. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
As we get closer to Infinite, that's something that is a franchise that is near and dear to, I know for sure, the 3 of us, and I'm fairly certain with Jesse as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's the franchise that made me fall in love with video games the way I did, and made me go, I want to work in this industry eventually. Halo 2 did that to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there will be a lot of, especially as we get these next gen updates coming in. I'm sure we'll all be popping in with our Master Chief Collection hot takes here pretty soon.
I can't wait to see what collector's editions come out for that.
Oh my god, Joe! My wallet is gonna hear you. I can't do this right now.
For what, Infinite? Or for yeah.
I can't do this. My wallet is listening. It's sensitive right now.
I've already been buying the toys. I'm such a sucker.
What if they just make, what if the collector's edition is just the brute with the meme brute? What's his name?
If it's Craig, I will buy that day one. I will put Craig on top of my desk for the rest of my game.
They sell him. I'm pretty sure this is him. Hold on, I'm gonna open it right now.
Oh, you're opening toys? No.
Oh,
although I did just put my Master Chief helmet from Halo 3 up on my bookshelf as on display. I think
we don't have to wait for me to open this. By the way, we can move on, but I am gonna open it.
I'm just talking about Halo stuff. I think it is going to be time to retire my Halo 3 Master Chief and my Arbiter from Halo 3 once this Halo Infinite statue comes in.
I haven't ordered that yet. I keep going back and forth. I feel like there would be like a collector's edition, but I should probably just get it.
You should just get it. Why have you not
get it?
You are the person that convinced me to get this. Why didn't you get it yet?
I don't know. Because I spent $125 on that other one.
Oh yeah, that's true. That one was probably way cooler. But all right, we're gonna move on to the next one. Garrett Ward writes in. He says, "Yo, what's up, hosts? Saw the call online that you want to have some feedback. Been listening since about episode 90 something. I think you guys could be one of the best Xbox podcasts once the Series X and S come out. More community interaction and questions would be cool. Maybe some before the news or after. Anyways, keep trucking along. Love the show." Garrett, thanks for the kind words. Guys, people think we're the best Xbox podcast out there. It's in words. It's in writing.
Full transparency, I don't know a lot of the other Xbox podcasts out there right now, but that's awesome if that's true.
It is true. It's true in my brain. But no, I'm just messing around. I think it's
oh, yeah, that's
him.
Craig.
It's Craig. It's Craig.
That is absolutely.
It's $9.99 at Target.
God, Joe, you're quit getting me
$10
money. $10 is $10.
Josh, if you set up a Patreon for $10, I'll be your first Patreon subscriber, so you can buy.
I guess set up a GoFundMe so that Josh can buy Craig the Brute.
Yeah, Josh, I need you to send me your address at some point, and I'm gonna get you a Christmas present. I'm dead serious.
Speaking of Christmas presents, I have Arsenal X shirts. I just need everybody's address and size. But we can talk about that after the show. But I mean, I don't know. I listen to Luke's podcast, right? Xbox Expansion Pass. I listen to Unlocked. I listen to the Xbox Drive, which is Sean Capri, and like I listen to these shows, and I like to do an Xbox podcast. I don't really think of how we're doing as a show. I just feel like we are. I mean, like we said before, we're just friends who come together to talk about Xbox every week because we like to, and I do want to do more community interaction. I think adding questions to the podcast would be a good thing. In Twitch chat, when people are talking in the Twitch chat, I would like to start making that a better live experience too. But what do you guys have any thoughts on this one?
No, I think we're all on the same page that we'd really like to be getting more questions from the community. I think that makes for a better show, not just for you guys, but for us too. So it makes us think about things other than what we've just sat down and been, reading in the news or what we've been playing recently. Anything like big, questions are great. We like questions. Everybody's going to have a different perspective on whatever question you ask. So,
yeah,
I think that makes for a bigger variety of a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I got. Thank you for the words, Garrett. Love you. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Thank you.
I agree. I would like to do more community-based things. We have to find a way to corral those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But I would really enjoy it. If anyone wants to know our opinion on something, I would say at the very least they deserve to know the answer to that question.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I try to put out, a question thread on Twitter. I know I need to do better of getting it out everywhere and trying to get our email address and stuff out there too, which is where most of these are. arsenalxpodcast@gmail.com if you want to ask a question. Should probably just put that in the show notes, huh? That'd probably be the easiest way to do it.
Check the notes.
Check the notes. Our last bit of feedback that we're going to read off here comes from Zach Schumacher. Schumacher. There's a C in there. I'm going to go Mocker.
Schumacher, yeah.
Hey, C3J. Hey, that's cool. C3J. Because there's 3 J's. Okay. Got a few things I'd like to see. More game talk, more questions from the audience. Come on, fans. And more show, period. You guys are just like us, buying your games and having fun with Xbox. Maybe a guest once in a while. Thanks for all you do. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of more of what we've been talking about already. Yeah. A guest once in a while. I've been thinking about that too. I've been thinking about that just because, tonight I think would have been a perfect night to have a guest, but it was so short notice that I didn't have time to reach out to anybody. But like if one of us is missing or needs a break or something, we could call on a guest.
Yeah. And I mean, that ultimately goes back to the part where we do this as fans. Mm-hmm. Like things come up in life that will prevent you from doing a podcast that you do as a hobby from time to time. Last week I was a maybe up until about an hour before, and I was just like, guys, I'm so tired. I just drove 6 hours from Kansas to Texas. I'm wiped. I need to crash. I need to eat something and just sleep.
I mean, I wouldn't want to do a podcast if I drove 6 hours somewhere. We went to.
I mean, but that's the thing. Like, I enjoy doing this so much that I wanted to make it, and it was just there was no way I was going to sit in my chair without falling asleep.
Mm-hmm. Remember, Josh, when you said that I would like to be on Arsenal X more, but I don't know if I could commit. And now you've been here like every week except for like one.
I have, yeah. For reference, we've talked about this on Tower Casuals before, but Corey has tried for quite a long time to get me to be on Arsenal X, dating back to probably about this time last year, I think, is when you started. And it just wasn't going to happen. I wasn't able to commit. We moved across the state, and then COVID-19 happened, and we decided we were moving back home, and like, well, maybe I can once I get settled, and that just turned into, well, I guess I'm here indefinitely.
Yeah,
I do love doing this though. I love being able to talk Xbox with friends, and that's what it is. Like this is it's a fun hobby. Like it is a step away from normal life. Like I get to just forget about everything crazy going on outside the walls of my apartment for 2 hours when we do this.
Yeah, it's definitely a step away from things that are going on, and
yeah.
Not that like anything is wrong going on in my life right now. Thank God or whatever. Like it's just nothing is really bad at this point. I mean, COVID's terrible, but
yeah.
I mean,
I think especially in this season, it's just been so helpful.
Yeah.
To have that friendship and those, have those bonds be strengthened.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing too.
Not to get too philosophical on us.
Yeah. No, and I know it's a meme, but like being social through the internet has really helped kind of ease that, staying home or whatever. And it's weird because it really hasn't, the way the pandemic has happened for me hasn't really changed my life at all. I still go to work. I still have to go to work. I still have to I'm still doing the podcast stuff. I'm still interacting with the same people that I would inside and outside of the internet. It's like I feel terrible for everybody who this is really affecting hard. It's just been it's kind of been hard for me to wrap my mind around how serious it is because I haven't had to deal with it the same as everybody else has. But
yeah, not to dwell too much on the pandemic or anything like that, but I'm in the same boat as you, Corey, where my life is, I don't want to say exactly the same because I would say that's not true, but I have not been massively negatively impacted in really any way. Early on, when we had it happen, me and a couple people from my office made the decision that we were just going to work from home. Since then, our office is now just all remote. So I get to work from home all the time. The benefit to that for me is that I get to spend more time with my family. I do less social things, but I'm not a super social person. Like in all honesty, am much better through the internet than I am in person.
Yeah.
So like,
I tell my wife, like, all my friends are on the internet, so I don't really know who else to talk to.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Whenever like we're talking about doing this, and my wife will be like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "Oh, this guy's that I talk to on the internet." Like, I honestly don't like. I don't think it's weird. I don't think you guys are catfishing me in any way. This is like, or anything like that. So
my webcam's actually a really big deep fake video right now.
Oh, well, a long time ago when I started my very first podcast back in, early 2015, like late 2014, early 2015, with our good friend Ray. I tried explaining to my parents, because I was still living in my mom's house at the time, since I was laid up with my ankles, and she was like, "Who do you go in there and talk to on Sunday nights?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing a show with my friend Ray and my friend Chris." And she's like, "How do you know these guys?" I was like, "Oh, Facebook." She's like, "Facebook? Did you go to school with them?" I was like, "No, I found them in a Facebook group." Which was true. I found them in the Podcast Unlocked Facebook group, and the three of us have been friends ever since. The first time I went and actually met them in person, I got on a plane and flew to meet our friend Chris, who lives down in Pensacola. And my whole family was just like, "You're flying to meet some guy you met on the internet? What?" And now I feel like 4 or 5 years later, like, that's not a weird thing to say anymore. And it's our friendships have become so digital. And like, if that's where your identity is, like, that's where your friendships are going to be at.
I can tell you that if they have either like the Guardian Con or the Halo Destination Outpost, whenever that happens again, I 100% will go all in on attending one of those events. If you guys want to meet up at one of those events, we could just have like a LAN party evening type thing.
Yeah,
I 100% will do that.
My plan was to go to Guardian Con this year before everything went haywire.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to go to PAX.
I'm talking about it with another friend of the show, A1 Johnny. Me and him have talked about it before.
Yeah.
Well, it's on the table. Anybody wants to do that?
It's absolutely
would be a great Patreon perk. We'll have an exclusive LAN party you can attend if you're there.
Twitch IRL stream.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
From the La Quinta Inn of Orlando, Florida.
But I want to thank everybody for your feedback. There was more, but we don't want to toot our own horns too much on this show. But but seriously, thanks everybody for writing in. If you want to see something, write us, email us, tweet at us at ArsenalX Podcast, or write us at arsenalxpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you just have a question to contribute to the show, that seems like a big one where people want more participation from the audience integrated into the show. So we're going to try our best. We actually have a lot of questions today that I tried to integrate in. Thanks everybody for writing in. It really helps, especially since we're gonna try to make this show the best it can possibly be, and make it more fun for you guys. So before we get into this housekeeping, anybody playing anything exciting, anything new, anything ridiculous?
I played 2 new non-Destiny things this week. I hate that I have to preface it that way. But I played 2 non-Destiny things this week. Actually, technically 3. I started playing Life is Strange 2. Turned it off about 2 hours in. I just don't like it. I don't care about the characters the way that I did Max and Chloe in Life is Strange 1, or the way that I do about Allison and Tyler in Tell Me Why. So I feel pretty good about not going back to that one. Played a little bit of Need for Speed Heat. Really was itching for a car game that wasn't Forza Horizon, and it's fine. I guess it's scratched that itch a little bit, but
it's no Forza Horizon.
Man, the last Need for Speed I played like more than maybe 2-3 hours of was probably Most Wanted with the 360 launch. Ooh. And oh my, they are it's not a pretty sight. Not really digging it either. It's probably going to get deleted. Last thing, I downloaded Rainbow Six Siege last night off Game Pass, and the last time I tried dabbling in this game was in year 1, before it really found an identity, and that game has changed radically for the better.
Is it the full game or is it just the base game?
It is the full game.
Wow.
It's the full game. You get all of the year 1 and 2 operators, I think. You get a lot of the DLC for it. It's basically like the year 2 gold edition, I think is what it is on Game Pass. But it's really fun. They've added a newcomer mode, so I don't feel quite as bad when I die really fast. And it's really fun. It's crazy to see the different styles you can play as and how your team of randos really meshes. If I could get a solid squad going, I could see that becoming a staple in my gaming library.
Well, you know who loves that game is Jesse.
I'm going to have to talk to Jesse then. I was actually really hoping he would be here because I know he's the one who really plays a lot of, well, I say he's the one. We all play a lot of FPSs, but I know he's really into like the more competitive ones.
Yeah, that was like the only game he played for like a solid 6 months was Rainbow Six. And I know he's been wanting to get back into it, but I know he doesn't have like a squad to play with, so like that's kind of why he's been avoiding
I like it. I mean, I can see it being something I fire up a couple times a month.
Yeah.
It's great. I really, really, really like what Ubisoft has done with that game and made it a sustainable, competitive FPS. In an era where, you know, like Call of Duties are yearly releases, Siege easily could have been one of those. Like, oh, for 2 years and we'll throw another one out there. But it's had a lot of staying power, especially as a competitive one, and I really like that. It's a fun game. But that's what I've been playing.
Nice. Joe?
Speaking of Call of Duty, and not like they need any type of shout out or anything like that, but I've played a lot of the Halloween event in Warzone. And let me tell you, for a free event, meaning because you don't have to pay for Warzone, and you don't have to pay for the season or anything to get access to any of the Halloween stuff, it is fucking awesome. It's really, really great. There's a lot of variety there. They made this zombie mode that is awesome. Basically, the circle smaller, and if you die, you turn into a zombie, and then you can kill people as a zombie. And if you kill 2 people and get like they drop these like injections. If you take 2 of those, then you can become human again. And the goal is obviously to be the last human alive at the end. And they have another trios thing where it's like the map is at night, and then they have like there's this incentive to loot in certain places and like unlock these chests. When you unlock a chest, there's like sometimes it'll just like have this like scary thing that pops up on your screen and gets really loud. It's really great, and I don't know, it made me reflect on how shockingly bad the Festival of the Lost was in Destiny. And that's a game that I've invested a lot of time and money into for like then to play Warzone for free and have a great experience and like want to play it. I probably put 30 hours into like playing Warzone this week while I was supposed to be working. And and it's awesome. So if you haven't played that, it goes till the end of the month, so not a whole lot longer, but like I would recommend at least popping in once to try out the zombie mode because it is fun. And they introduce new mechanics for it. It's not like you're just playing as a zombie and you're slow. Like you're a fast zombie that can jump super high. It's neat. That's what I spent most of my time playing, and then I feel bad, so I was trying to get back into Halo, trying to figure out Halo 3 and why I suck at it all of a sudden. All of a sudden meaning the past year. All of a sudden. Yeah.
Oh man. So I've been playing a little bit of Destiny, but I've mostly been playing Halo Master Chief Collection this week. Just because of this monitor is just like, man, this thing. I don't know, man. I can't say enough good things about this monitor, but I guess you get what you pay for, you know. So or what Amazon messes up for you. But yeah, man, the refresh rate and the frame rates on, like, it's just like a totally different game. Like, in the curve of I'm never going back to a straight monitor again. Like, why would you? Like, a curved monitor is like it's changed my life.
It's more immersive.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a novelty or not, but
no, it's I've talked to people who like work in film and stuff, and they say no, like curved screens are meant to make you feel more immersed.
Yeah, it's like I want a second one, I mean, I know I said at the top of the show, but I want like a second one so I can have two of them on my desk at the same time, and just like one would be just like games and one would be like a workstation, and then whatever, you know. I don't know, man. This thing is life changing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going back, ever. So, but that's kind of all I've really been playing besides testing out a bunch of games.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just kind of in a holding pattern right now.
I know. I've been ever since I watched these Digital Foundry videos and stuff. I'm just like, man, I don't know what to play other than Destiny and like maybe Halo until these new consoles come out. Just because watching these games go from like anywhere between 25 and 40 frames, you know, at uncapped frame rates to like straight 60 without any hiccups is like, man, I don't know what to do. And I watched the Digital Foundry videos again this week. Like I kind of watched them before I go to bed. I'm like, these consoles are out in 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks by the time this episode posts. Like, it can't come fast enough.
Never heard that before.
Oh. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Bad dad jokes. All right. Anyways, I'm just gonna run through this housekeeping and giveaway real quick. We are giving away 6 months of Game Pass, so stay tuned to find out how. This is Arsenal X, the Xbox show here on Boss Rush Games. Every week we come together with our friends from around the internet to talk about the latest news, rumors, games, and more within the world of Xbox. You can catch us live on Sunday nights here on twitch.tv/BossRushGamesLive at 9 p.m. Eastern Time to join the conversation. If you can't join us live, it's no big deal. You can head on over to youtube.com/BossRushGames or podcast services everywhere on Tuesday mornings. Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you consume our show. You can catch all of our content and our family of shows on BossRushGames.com. Our giveaway is 6 months of Game Pass. We're giving away 6 months of Game Pass on November 8th. It gives you your console, according to Microsoft, over 100 plus quality games on launch day by entering our contest. The rules are simple. Follow us on Twitter at ArsenalXPodcast. Reply with a screenshot of where you listen to us. Retweet it and tag 2 friends. Cutoff for entries is November 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So, good luck, everybody. Man, I should enter this contest. Can we enter? Can we enter our own contest?
Sure. Do whatever you want.
Possibly. I don't know.
I gotta find the rules on this show, see if we're eliminated from this contest. Can I quit the show for a week and enter the contest and then
That's why Jesse's not here.
Yeah.
He's entering the contest right now.
Yeah.
Well, if I knew that was all it took, I would have entered last week.
I entered the week before.
Oh man. So all right, we have a lot of topics to get through. Joe, you brought this to our attention in the group chat. The Elite Series 2 controller gets a warranty extension because of they took some notes from Nintendo, I guess, from this the drifting sticks.
So I can't see it. It's being green screened out. This is my Elite Series 2 in a box shipped to Microsoft. So it sucks. I am an early adopter. I am also a very competitive person when it comes to video. Probably most things in reality. That's why I probably don't have a lot of friends.
That's fair.
I am always looking for a little bit of edge. Usually it's like a controller or a monitor or a cable or something stupid that makes no difference. I'm the guy on the golf course with all the goofy golf shit. It's like, this really helps my swing.
This glove with 2 fingers and
look at this.
a beer.
The bowler that has the claw hand,
Yeah.
the half robotic hand. So I had an Elite Series 1 and I loved it. To be honest, I like it when you buy a piece of hardware and you can just feel the quality. It's usually heavier and like the buttons are a little bit more clicky. It has a nice give to it. So I had a Series 1, and when they announced that the Series 2 came out, I think at the time, I don't think it was widely known like that all the controllers would work for the Xbox Series X, but I remember they're like, "Hey, this one's the same. Like, it's going to work in the new system. Blah blah blah." And I was like, "All in. I'm getting a new controller. Sold my other one. Bought a new one. It had every single thing that I loved about the last one, plus more." So I am an advocate of that. So when friends come to me like, "Hey, what controller do you recommend?" or "I need a new controller," or if they see me playing, like, "What controller?" Like, I will full on press somebody to be like, "You should buy an Elite Series 2. It is the best controller that I've ever had," and I've had a scuff controller before that. And a buddy of mine bought one, and he had to get his serviced, and I feel like a shithead because he, got it, the warranty expired, and then he had to go back and he paid $100 to get it fixed.
Oh, jeez.
And then about a month or two ago, mine started to do that. I was playing Halo, and I have mine tuned very fine. So like any movement I make on that controller is an immediate reaction. Like I turn down all the sensitivities up as high as it can go. There's no what do they call that? There's no dead zones or anything like that. And I noticed that when my character was standing still, it's like all of a sudden just starts moving around. And I'm like, I don't think that's how that worked before. Long story short, I ended up trying to go to Microsoft. My warranty was expired. It's like $100 to get it fixed. And I'm like, yeah, I could spend $100 to get the same controller, or I could just spend another $100 and like just get another one, and I don't want to have to deal with sending it out and then not having it. So I just bought another one. So I have two, like an idiot. And then my friend told me a couple weeks ago, he's like, "Hey, I got a refund of that controller repair." He's like, out of the blue. He's like, "I don't even know why." And did a little research. There was a class action lawsuit that a guy had filed, not only for the Elite Series 2, but controllers in general. And then Microsoft just ups the warranty. So he got a refund. I went back, and they just told me to send it out. So I have mine boxed up. It's going to go out tomorrow. They're just going to swap out my controller. I couldn't be more pleased about this. I realize that it's not the best thing, but the warranty on it originally was, I think it was, 90 days? Which is just not enough time for like a hand tool, more or less. It's something that you use that goes through a lot of wear and tear. And I'm sorry, it's a $180 controller. You should have more faith than 90 days in it. Now, I don't care if you only put 90 days on it and I never have to use that warranty, but it really does suck about like 6 months in to have it break down.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they did the right thing. I feel like this is just another like string of Microsoft just kind of stepping up their game. My only concern now is like, are they... I feel good about them fixing my problem by giving me a new controller. But am I just buying another 6 months of then like my warranty expiring and then I have like the same issue? Like, I wonder if there's going to be if they're fixing it or if they're just like fixing the PR issue, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's my only concern about it. I don't know how much you guys are invested in Elite Series 2, but 100%, if you want a really nice controller, you should buy one. They are phenomenal.
I want one, but...
Well, I will have two shortly.
Well, if you're looking to get rid of one...
I 100% am going to get rid of one.
Well...
But that's not a thing that you have to buy one from me or anything.
Well, I would.
Okay. We'll talk.
We'll talk. Maybe if you enter that Game Pass contest, we'll talk about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. He's bribing him.
We're going to give away a controller and Game Pass. We're hot.
No,
We're hot.
just Game Pass. Ultimate. 6 months. See show for details. What are your thoughts on this, Josh? You have any thoughts on this?
No, not really, honestly. I'm just glad that the warranties seem to be extended. I've heard the criticism of the Elite Series 2 for a little while on, it not working, people needing them to get serviced. And, I mean, I do think part of this is a PR move, because you're on the cusp of releasing a brand new console. That only happens like once every 6 to 8 years. You don't want to go into this generation with any sort of negative publicity after the absolute dumpster fire that was the Xbox One launch.
Mm-hmm.
You already got people you're already coming under fire because you don't have launch games. The last thing you need is a hardware issue, even if it is just for your premium controller. Like, your hardcore fans are the ones buying that. Those are the ones you want to keep really happy right about now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're handling it the way that they should have been. But I think that this is something that all console manufacturers need to be taking a look at. We've had the Nintendo Joy-Con drift issue, and they're not happy about having to replace some of those. Like I believe under a court order.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you how I barely play my Switch undocked anymore because I'm afraid of that Joy-Con drift at some point. And Joy-Cons are so hard to find at this point, especially like I have a set of blue ones. You can't find blue ones anywhere. The only ones you can find are like the red and blue like split color ones or the gray ones.
We have the Splatoon set, and I'm really afraid of those giving out on me. But I've barely played my Switch this year, so
yeah.
I typically play it docked. If I play it undocked, I play with my Pro Controller a lot. I think this needs to be a thing across the board. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo all need to be on the same page. And hey, we're going to give you an automatic 2-year warranty in case there is an issue with this, especially when you're creating a premium product. If I'm paying more than $40 for something, I want it to be easily replaceable. I shouldn't have to buy a third-party warranty from Best Buy or GameStop, in fear that your warranty won't cover it. I've been paranoid about hardware issues ever since the Red Ring of Death.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that red ringed on me on day one, and it crushed 13-year-old Josh. So never again.
It red ringed on you on the first day?
Red ringed on me the morning after I got it. Excuse me. I got through one night of playing Cameo and Call of Duty 2, and then the next morning I went to go boot up Call of Duty.
That's why I hated you for playing Cameo.
I played Call of Duty first.
So
I blessed the console with Call of Duty before it became what it is.
Mine red ringed like 5 days outside of the warranty on it. And no joke. And this is what I would be concerned about. And it probably not so much with the Elite, although the Elite costs as much as a console, and it's close.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost costs as much as a Switch Lite, right? At this point. What does the Switch Lite cost?
$180.
Yeah.
$199.
Almost,
yeah. Same. Whenever my Xbox 360 red ringed, and it was a launch console, and it was the one like the silver door and the hard drive. I remember instantly calling Microsoft, and they were just like, "Nope, it's," and I forget what it was. It was $160 or something like that to get it fixed.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And I went to GameStop, and GameStop, oddly enough, they would buy the broken one for me for $60. And then I bought a whatever, what they call the one without the hard drive, the arcade.
The arcade.
Yeah.
I bought the arcade version and then just used my hard drive. So the only thing I lost in that transaction was the silver nameplate. But I remember buying the arcade version, got the $60 credit, and then I still had to pay like $150, or I forget what I paid at that time, but I paid money out of my pocket. And I'm like, this way I have a new console. And then, what was it, 2 or 3 months later, I got a thing being, hey, we'll cover this under warranty. Well, I just got fucked because I don't have it to give to you anymore. I fixed the problem. And scenarios like that stink in situations like this, because although it's great for someone like me that just happened to have the first one sitting around still, or my buddy that just paid for it and he got reimbursed, I bet there's somebody out there that sold their Elite Series 2 for almost nothing, and then just kind of walked away from that scenario, and they never get to see the benefit of this. That's the only downside to all this stuff. It's you wait and to do the right thing until someone puts a little bit of pressure, and then you lose, some fans that spent good money on investing in your ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have anything else to add.
I don't either.
I think, like you said, Josh, it's a good thing to do because they don't want any negative publicity going in to this launch, especially on broken hardware. So,
yeah.
All right. So, speaking of, I don't know, new hardware, I guess. That was a terrible transition. Who hired me for this job? I'm fired. It's terrible.
You did.
Oh, you're right. I did. Halo: The Master Chief Collection will be fully optimized for Series X. So the game will be full 4K, 120 frames a second, campaign and multiplayer, which is freaking amazing. How do you guys feel about this? Joe, I know you're probably excited.
It is the reason why I bought an interim monitor, because do not want Halo to be running at 120 frames a second and me to get half that. Like, I beyond ecstatic. I was not expecting them to update that in any way, but I'm so glad that they did.
Yeah, I was gonna go through and play through the campaigns again, and I'm like, now I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, by the time this is optimized, like, probably by the time I'm ready to play Halo, I'll be done with the Beyond Light stuff for a while, and I can play through the campaigns probably early next year and go into Halo Infinite, Halo fresh.
So.
Oh, yeah. I think the changes they're making here are just outstanding. You can't sit here and make all these changes to other titles. Well, I mean, you can, but if you're not doing it to Xbox's, first child, essentially, if you're not giving him the best new toys to play with, eventually he's going to get upset. I think we were all wondering after the Xbox showcase when they showed a few of the first-party titles that would be enhanced day one. Forza Horizon 4, Sea of Thieves, Ori, Gears 5, Gears Tactics. I think we were all kind of wondering, like, where the hell is the Master Chief Collection at?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is, if you're going to promote that you can play 4 generations of Xbox games, you have to have the collection that spans
this is the
all
game.
4 generations.
Like, the only other thing, like, they could show is, like, oh, well, you can play the old Gears trilogy now, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, so now you have, but I mean, this stretches back to the original.
No, I know what you mean.
So, like with the OG modes and the anniversary modes, I think doing the 120 frames, like, that's a no-brainer at this point. I think that's, at this point, if it's a shooter that won't support 120 or at least 60 frames this generation, it's going to be a massive outlier. We were talking the pre-show about how I think that Destiny is going to eventually shift to 120 frames next year. But Halo doing that, I mean, it lines up with what they're promising for Infinite. That the 120 frames multiplayer. So correct me if I'm wrong. I think that 120 in Master Chief Collection is only for the multiplayer.
It says campaigns too.
Campaigns
too. Okay. I missed that then.
Yeah.
There's that. There is the field of view slider is coming in.
That's amazing too. The field of view.
Another thing that. It's going to seem like a no-brainer within the next 6 to 12 months. Already this fall, you've got Halo, you've got Call of Duty, you've got Destiny using it, you've got Rainbow Six going to it on consoles. This is something that PC gamers have enjoyed for so long, and it's finally being achieved on these next-gen consoles. Those upgrades are enough of a reason for me to go back and play through the entire Master Chief Collection again.
Mm-hmm. I want to play through Combat Evolved in the original graphic settings at 120 frames a second, just to see how bizarre it looks.
With the field of view turned up.
Oh, it's going to be so weird.
I'm so ready.
It's going to be like playing a different game.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be new again.
For the Warthog run.
Oh, God.
And have that, or to play like Silent Cartographer. Oh my God, I can't with the flood. Oh my God, the flood levels. I'm so excited. I gotta go play it now. That's it. Put me in cryo for 2 weeks. 3 weeks, because it's not happening until the 17th. But
yeah,
put me in cryo until then. I can wake up and play this, and then Cyberpunk.
We do have a question about this. Michael Goff writes in. He says, "Why do you think there's so much work being done on the Master Chief Collection? Do you think they'll optimize Halo 5 for X and S too?"
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I think they'll do it eventually. I think the way that they're treating Master Chief Collection, clearly they don't. I mean, I don't want to say they don't care about Halo 5, but they clearly are putting all their extra effort into Master Chief Collection instead of 5. Because first of all, I think 5's doing fine on its own right now, right? Like, I think that it's multiplayer. It still has events going on.
Halo 5 is like the least positively received Halo though that they've ever made, like overall. At least for the campaign portion. I do think that they'll make a push with Halo 5. I think they'll come out in like January or February, and once we have an official release date for Infinite, and say, hey, for the lead up, we're giving this away. I mean, we already had the Monster site that went live this week that if you put in a certain code, you can get a free copy of Halo 5 Guardians, a free digital copy. So I expect them to make some sort of marketing push, maybe even around Christmas, or be like, hey, this is our latest title that's, going to be up-resed and fixed for next generation, along with I imagine they'll do a few others at some point.
Yeah.
But that one, I think, and they're pretty clearly going to wait and then do some sort of promo to tie it into Infinite's launch.
Like an expansion, like a story expansion that leads into Halo Infinite.
Oh my god! I think that they are. I think that both them and Microsoft, 343 and Microsoft, are both pretty eager to leave behind the less than stellar response from the community, because like the multiplayer is so, like we talked about before, the multiplayer is great.
It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
Pretty
It's
good.
arguably a series best to me. It's certainly the best it's been since Halo 3.
If I could get out of the same 3 damn maps, I would be, awesome.
And I maintain that Warzone is one of the funnest multiplayer modes I played all generation. I'd love for Warzone to be a standalone game, similar to Call of Duty Warzones. I'd love for Halo to have its own standalone, so I don't have to boot up Halo 5 every time I want to play it. I am curious as to why that's not one of the ones that'll be up-resed at launch. Even Master Chief Collection is coming a week later, so that's why I just think, maybe it's a case of, we're going to throw it out in December or January. We want to give you reasons to dip into the Game Pass catalog each month.
I mean, are those live teams? Are they the same team? The live teams for Master Chief Collection and Halo 5? Or are they different? I would imagine they're different teams.
They're different, I believe.
They're different. The lead of Master Chief Collection, the guy who basically got it back on track and got all the multiplayer fixed and everything, was pulled off of it back in August when Joseph Staten was added to the narrative team. He came on to lead the multiplayer team.
Okay.
So I think it's a simple equation of Master Chief Collection just all got ported to PC. All these things are available on PC. You can run it over 100 frames a second on PC. I think it's just easy for them to be like, oh, we have extra bandwidth. We can now just add these things that we've already basically created and figured out and bug tested and just put them on the console version. I don't know if Halo 5 will get any love. I think it's fine. I don't think they want to invest any more money into it. I don't know what the benefit to that would be at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it to. I would be extremely skeptical. It's also not being added to the Master Chief Collection, which if that were the case, then I would say, yes, that would be what I would rather have happen. I would rather, because you can download each one game that you want to have in there. I would rather have Halo 5 be included into the Master Chief Collection and then maybe get some of these quality of life things. Outside of that, I don't think anything's going to happen with it.
I do think that it's going to get added to Master Chief Collection in the lead up to Infinite.
They said it wasn't. I'm pretty sure they came out and said it wasn't.
I think Phil
they
Spencer
also
said
at one point told us that we were never going to get Reach or ODST as part of it, and we did get ODST got walked back real fast when it launched, so broken, and they're like, we're going to give ODST away for free now. And then, you guys want Reach? We'll give you Reach. We'll do that too.
Well, they said this 12 days ago.
Well, they can still change their minds. I'm still maintaining that. I think that 5 will end up eventually. I think it'll end up in there eventually, and I am maintaining that I think Warzone will eventually be broken out into its own thing. Yeah. Like, I like what you said. Like, you'd like to be able to download each game individually, because that is something that we know we're going to be able to do on Series X. Is you'll be able to download certain parts of games. Like, if you don't want to play the campaign or the multiplayer of some games, it's up to that developer's discretion, obviously, but you'll be able to not download those things to keep some of the install sizes down. So that's music to my ears personally. Not that I would ever do that with Master Chief, but like with Gears, for instance, I'm never going to touch Gears multiplayer. Just give me the campaigns.
Whenever I get my expansion card, I'm just going to print out a label that says Halo on it, and it'll just store the Halo games. Because that's all. That's the whole.
100
hard
gigs
drive
for the Master Chief Collection right now. It's almost another 100 for Guardians.
And we'll see how big Infinite is.
Oh my god!
Infinite's gonna be huge.
Infinite's gonna pull an Animal Crossing from GameCube on us and launch with its own expansion card in the box.
Dude, I would buy it. I would buy it.
I'm not even ashamed. Like I would 100% buy it.
I fully also expect to buy a Halo themed Xbox and trade in my launch one. It's going to happen.
I have a friend who's buying a 1S on launch day, or a Series S on launch day, excuse me, just because he knows they're going to do a Halo Series X, and he wants that instead.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to buy the Series S now, and I'm going to give it to my wife so I can justify buying a Series X Halo edition. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to do the exact same thing, honestly.
But what if they come out with a Destiny one?
God, Corey.
I would still get the Halo one. They won't. I guess that's possible.
They came
It's
out with 2
absolutely
Destiny PlayStations.
Yeah, that was back
It's
when they had that
possible.
exclusive deal.
I
Though.
still think I would get more excited for a Halo one personally, as much as I love Destiny. The Destiny one would have to be really fucking cool for me to get it, though.
It would have to be really cool.
What if it was basically just the Dreadnought that played Xbox games? It just looked like the Dreadnought, because that's where we're going back to.
I'll have to.
I mean, maybe. Oh, it's like a literal replica of the tower.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true, too. By the way, write that down for Tower Casuals. Apparently, there's a rumor we're going back to the original tower.
There is. I'm actually really excited to talk with you about that on Thursday.
All right. Joe, you're more than welcome to come talk about it with us if you want.
I might be down to do that.
I'm going to put the conspiracy headphones on Thursday. So
Sweet. Okay, so speaking of good news with Halo, there's now bad news with Halo. Halo fans in particular.
Meh.
Apparently, they're very angry about the armor coatings from the in Halo Infinite, the armor customization in Halo Infinite. Joe, are you upset? Does this bother you?
So, first off, I love that this is a Halo podcast now. It feels great. Halo fans, if I can talk to you directly, because I'm one of you. I am a Halo fan. I've been a Halo fan since Combat Evolved. Like, I am an OG Halo fan. Let's grow the fuck up, please. Let's just. The game's not out. We don't know fully what it will do.
we are literally all
fine.
this year.
This is fine. It's perfectly fine. Play the game. If it's upsetting then do it. But, like, we get so butthurt over the smallest stupid things. I think it's fine. It sounds like a Destiny thing. It can't be worse than Destiny as long as I don't have 50 different armor coatings that I have to individually apply and then use a fictional currency that varies to apply them. It's fine. I think it's fine. I'm happy with it. I just want the fucking game. I don't care about the armor coatings. I'm sure I will care at the time. When there's an exclusive one, or if I have to do get an achievement. That's the other thing. There is a prestige to this. If you can do something to get a specific coating, and then I wear that coating to make all the other people go, oh, where the fuck did he get the solid gold Mjolnir armor? Like, I want to wear that versus someone just applying it. I get it. I get that you want to be able to express yourself and stuff, but be open to change and a different way to do it. That's what I'll say. And no, I'm not upset. I'm upset in general, but I'm not upset that they're changing how it works. I don't care.
Speaking of Halo at the beginning, I found.
Is that the translucent green one?
No, it's
That's the black one.
It's a black one. My brother-in-law had a original Xbox just sitting in his basement, and he gave it to me.
Man, have you booted up? Have you played anything on it yet?
No, I'm working on cleaning it because it's been sitting in 2 different nasty basements for 8 years. He said he's hooked it up 8 years ago was the last time he hooked it up, and it's got some residue on it. We'll say.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to clean it. So
about 1 year ago, I played Combat Evolved on an original Xbox with like an old Xbox controller.
Yeah.
It's rough. There's rose-colored glasses that exist.
Oh, I'm
it's
sure.
A thing.
I'm sure. I really just got it because at some point I'm just gonna, like for this show in particular, I'm just gonna have a Xbox display, and I'm just gonna display like all of the Xboxes and probably the Dreamcast because, well, why not? But yeah, it's I gotta clean it up first. But yeah, I've. What did I go back to the other day that was on an original console? And it was like really hard to go back to. I'm like, ooh.
There's so many small details that make it really tough.
Yeah. So especially the black and white button that are in 2 different places depending on what controller you're using.
What controller it is. That's how you know it's good.
Yeah. So I do have a Duke controller and I have a translucent blue controller S. So those are the 2 controllers I have. for this
That's
beast.
fine.
Yeah.
Do you guys give a shit about the armor coatings? Like in reality, like
No.
and also anybody that's listening, feel free to write in. Like I want to know the honest reason to be upset about this.
I mean, I always wish there's more customization to the Spartans in your multiplayer, right? Like I always
Sure.
wanted that, and I always wanted to like, oh, if you get like a Kilimanjaro or whatever, whatever the new hotness he's yelling out these days. I don't know. I haven't been that good in like, I don't know, 15 years, but I want like something that says, oh, you did that. That's neat. Here's a mountain helmet. I don't know.
But like I feel like that's the benefit to unlocking coatings with stuff is that like, let's say that I get my, I don't know, I run over 1,000 Spartans, and then I get a coating that looks like a fucking caution tape, like it makes me like all yellow and black striped and has like blood splatter marks on it, like that's something you can't do with custom colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's cool. But whatever.
We'll see.
I cannot imagine something that I have cared less about in Halo in a long time.
But that's the thing about the Halo community. And again, I love you guys. I feel like I'm part of you, but also as like somewhat of an outsider. Come on. Let's just not bitch about something every time there's announcements.
Remember when everybody was bitching that they added a sprint button to Halo 4? And I'm like, this makes the game infinitely better.
It does. And it's hard to go back and play the other ones. It's like, why can't I... So, dude, in Halo 5, because they still do, like, rotations of, like, playlists,
mm-hmm.
They had that mythic playlist where you could tell that they increased your speed, but they took away sprint, and it feels okay. But there's got to be a balance. Like, you have to be able to walk faster.
Yeah.
I like the sprint button. It's different in Halo. It's fine. I think it's fine.
I like the sprint button, and guess what? I like to aim down sights. Oh no.
I still like Halo. If I want to play Halo Combat Evolved, I'll put it in and I'll play it at 120 frames a second in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, Josh. I did cut you off. If you had more.
No. I have nothing else. I am so thoroughly uninterested in the gripes of the color brigade of the Halo fandom. I could not give less of a shit.
This is also, and I will stop. I promise after this. This is also why games and movies suck, because they will announce that they're going to do something, and then everyone will be up in arms without ever playing it, seeing it, or really knowing the full impact of what that does. And then they will go back on that and be like, hey, we took away the coatings, and now you have custom colors. And you have the exact same thing that you've always had, and you don't have anything that possibly could be better. And then people get upset. Remember the original, when the Xbox One came out, they were going to have all digital games. If you bought a game physically, you get the digital copy and you could share it with friends. And everyone was, but you had to connect to the internet like once every 24 hours or a month or something like that.
Something like that.
And everyone was all upset about it. So then Microsoft was like, okay, we won't do that. But now to all of us that work digitally, like, how great would that be if I could actually go to GameStop or whatever and buy a used copy of a game and then have it digitally and don't ever have to, like, put it in?
Mm-hmm. That'd
be great. And if I could share games with people, I mean, Game Pass solves all those anyway. But
yeah,
I want everyone to just chill out a little bit.
I'm done with fandoms for right now.
Speaking of fandom, it's my turn to be super fan here.
Let's do it.
Gears 5's finally getting DLC, guys. Gears 5. Hivebusters DLC, a 3 to 4 hour campaign, which means it'll take me 5 to 6. You're getting the Hivebusters DLC is I don't think you play as Kate or any of the main characters.
It's a new squad.
It's the squad that they showed in the trailer when they originally showed off the escape mode in Gears. You play as those characters, but I'm still excited because it's more Gears at 120 frames a second. I think that's only the multiplayer, But you will also have the option to recast Marcus Phoenix as Batista, including a whole new voice.
He redubbed the whole game.
Yeah, he redubbed the whole game as Batista.
I
I'm like,
love this so much.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the DLC. Like, I haven't played Gears 5 yet. I'm waiting for Series X to play it, to blow through the campaign, and then to play Hive Busters when it happens in December. I am actually more excited for Dave Bautista to be completely redubbing all of Marcus's lines and for him to be an applicable skin. There's been a huge fan campaign for years.
He's already a skin in multiplayer.
Yeah, I know that, but for him to actually be Marcus, like, it's been the subject of such a huge fan campaign for if they ever make a movie that he has to be Marcus. This is so great. I love it. Yeah. I love everything about this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This is the kind of like wacky update I can get behind.
Yeah,
it's also highlights what like fan involvement when used positively can have happen. Like, you can have fun stuff happen.
Well, and that's what they were telling Miranda Sanchez, the coalition was over at IGN. They were basically saying, like, yeah, it never crossed our minds to do this. Like, we just put him in as a skin because he's a huge fan. And like, then we started seeing the reception, and like fans were like, oh my god, like, if y'all ever make a movie, you really need to make him Marcus. Like, I really wish he could be Marcus in the games. And they were like, it just became something fun that we decided we wanted to do. We called Dave up, and he's like, hell yeah, I want to do that. I'll be a part of this. Like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. It's cool.
I love everything about this.
I mean, he doesn't really look out of place either, which is the thing.
No, he doesn't.
No. He has the same upper torso as all those characters.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like, okay, well, he's a real person now, I guess. So, but yeah, he doesn't look old enough, though, to be honest, in Gears 5. He would have been perfect in like Gears 1 or like a Marcus Phoenix collection that's been now trending on Twitter, which excites me a whole lot. But it's still cool that him actually redubbing the entire game is also really cool. So
it's nice.
It's great. It doesn't seem like it was too difficult for them to do that.
Yeah.
I really like this.
It's also great that they didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just put the skin in there, like, that they already had, and be like, hey, you can now apply this for the campaign. But to go the extra effort and have new dialogue recorded,
I think we would have all honestly shrugged our shoulders if it was just the skin. And been like, oh, okay, cool. Now that it's the voice, though, like, I've seen so many people go, oh my god, I want to play through this game again now.
I'm going to. I mean, I was going to anyway. I was going to play through Gears 4 and 5 again anyway, but, man. Also, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, all this is free for you. So.
Could be free for 6 months for you.
Yeah, if you enter our contest. See top of the show for details. Actually, like mid-show, top third. I don't know. I have no idea.
Fine.
All right, we have one more story to get to, and we have a question attached to it. Phil Spencer commented on the Bethesda stuff again in a recent interview. A lot of people, I feel like, are getting too deep diving on this, but also I think it's worth talking about because it's interesting. His quote was, this deal is not done to take games away from any player base like that. Nowhere in the documentation that we put together was, how do we keep other players from playing these games? We want more people to be able to play games, not fewer people to be able to play games. But I'll also say in this model, I'm just answering directly the question that you had. When I think about where people are going to be playing these games on a number of devices that we had, we have xCloud and PC and Game Pass and our console base. I don't have to go ship those games on any other platform other than the platforms that we support in order to make this kind of deal work for us, whatever that means. So, interesting quote. I still, man, every time I think about this, I feel like I could go either way and it would make perfect sense, right? Like, oh yeah, of course they're going to put Bethesda games on PlayStation. They're losing all kinds of money, but also like, oh yeah, they purchased a bunch of studios to put games on their service. That totally makes sense that they're exclusive. You know what I mean? Like, it Also, I heard the point that if PlayStation bought Bethesda, all these games would be exclusive in there. We would not be having this conversation. So,
Yeah. So I guess I'll take your last point first. I absolutely agree that if somebody else, be it Sony or Google or Amazon, bought Bethesda,
or Nintendo,
or Nintendo, you would absolutely Nintendo. You would absolutely never see these games, even re-releases, come out on other consoles ever again. With Microsoft, I think it's a really interesting conversation to have. And Corey, we had this initially. We had it in both Arsenal X, and we had it in our breaking news segment that we did about it. I still think it's too early for us to guess how this is going to go. I see so many people go like, "Oh my god, well, of course they have to put Elder Scrolls on. Elder Scrolls has come to PlayStation before." It's like, no, y'all are thinking through this in the mindset of Minecraft. Minecraft was a game that is ongoing and existed, and they've been very clear about if it is a game that is ongoing, Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76, for example, it will continue to receive DLC, it will continue to receive updates, patches, etc. Anything beyond that is fair game at this point, and I think Phil has worded it very carefully when he has said in the past of, well, it's going to be on a game-by-game basis. I think that is his way of saying it might happen, but don't count on it. I think you are honestly more likely to see Bethesda games come to a Nintendo console than you are to see them come to PlayStation again. And I think that's because we've seen time and time again, and I'm not saying this to stoke any sort of console war. We've seen the last couple years, Sony kind of slip back into that PS2 end of the PS2 era mentality of, well, we're the market leaders. We don't have to play ball with anybody else. You've seen the fanboys come out in force going, well, Microsoft has no reasons to buy a console, and now they're the ones literally screaming and throwing a hissy fit over Bethesda being exclusive. It's like, guys, if it bothers you that much, there's a $15 a month plan, and you can play on Android devices. You can pick up a Series S for $300. They have introduced, and I mean, God, that's not even getting to the streaming stick story that The Verge broke on Friday about that we all thought was coming, and it actually is going to be a reality. There's a possibility it's going to be on Samsung TVs. Like, there's going to be all these different places to play Xbox, and I think Phil's point here is really great. We want more people to be able to play this. They're literally making the game more accessible to a bigger audience than ever imaginable with putting this on smart TVs, with putting this on mobile devices. He makes a good point of, we don't have to put this on anything else to recoup our investment. If we do, it's going to be out of the goodness of our hearts. I do think I think third Wolfenstein and probably whatever the sequel to Doom Eternal is, maybe another Dishonored, those will probably come to PlayStation. But after a period of, they've been exclusive to Xbox for 6 months to a year. And like, if you really want to play these and not get spoiled, you're gonna have to play them.
I mean, we're already seeing that. We're already seeing that, right? With like the Wolfenstein Alternate History Collection and the Arcane Collection. They're available on PS4 and Xbox One, but the only next gen version is the Xbox Series X version.
And like, I'm not going to read too much into that. I do think that was probably a deal that they made with them, because it seems like ZeniMax was making a lot of deals, hence Ghostwire and Deathloop being timed exclusives. And those agreements are not being voided either. Right. Those are business contracts. Those are not being voided. They could not be voided even in Microsoft's wildest dreams. I think that you do not spend $7.5 billion to not make Elder Scrolls and Fallout exclusive. I'm going to keep coming back to that. You do not spend that much money to not make the main Bethesda studio, anything that Todd Howard touches, essentially, exclusive.
Yeah.
You do not spend that much. If you were going to keep making those multi-plats, I don't think you make nearly that big of a deal. And they've said, we're going to let ZeniMax continue to do its own thing largely. And we've seen that Phil has largely let studios do what they want. Like, oh, you have a small passion project you want to chase? You want to do Grounded? Cool. Like 13 people are working on it. Everybody else is doing Avowed or Outer Worlds. Awesome. I'm here for it. Bleeding Edge, you only took like 10 to 15 people with you? Cool. Everybody else can go work on Hellblade and on, games that people actually want to play. We'll let you experiment here. Like, that was kind of a low blow. I'm sorry, Bleeding Edge.
Was it, though?
I mean, I felt it was warranted. But getting back to the point at hand, like, I think we've seen, and Microsoft has demonstrated now that you can let these studios do their own thing, and I think Phil is starting to see the results of that. And if he lets ZeniMax continue to do its own thing. I don't see why you would ever bring those games to other consoles. I think the only one that is a gigantic question mark at this point in the ZeniMax library is Starfield. I think that is the biggest looming question mark of, is this going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC, or will this still come to PS5? And if I was a betting man, given how it's been prominent in every press release they put out promos about this deal now, like, it is at the forefront of everything they've sent to press outlets. I do not think Starfield comes. I think Starfield is really the game that it sinks in with fans like, fuck, this is exclusive to Xbox and to that ecosystem now. And to that, pick up your mobile device, pay $15. Go get a tablet, play on that. I have little to no sympathy because you have amazing games to play on both consoles. Like, both first-party portfolios are so ridiculously strong now in terms of talent and studios that, okay, just go buy the cheap box. I don't know what to tell you. People are already calling the Series S the Bethesda box. Like,
yeah.
But I'm gonna get off my soapbox and let y'all talk.
I think everything that you said makes sense. I don't have like a ton to add to it. I don't know who this negatively impacts. I feel like the majority of people that play Bethesda games, and I could be wrong on this, but I don't have any statistics. Most of them are probably on PC, so they're fine. I think then there's a large company that does play on Xbox because that was the original partnership. That was like the first console that started playing these games. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's probably a lot of Xbox fans that play. There are probably people out there on PlayStation that play it. I would imagine, though, that's probably not their main interest. I would imagine those people are still Call of Duty, like, and they pick it up because they can, not necessarily because, like, that's, like, their main. I guess I could be wrong. I doubt anybody's out there buying a PlayStation specifically just to play Bethesda games.
Yeah, I made this point when the deal first happened, and all due respect to some of our friends, some of our good friends who are PlayStation fans, I'm like, my only stance is I empathize with the people who can only afford to buy one console. I do empathize with those people, but I think now more than ever, it is cheaper and easier to get into both ecosystems. Like, the console you can afford is a PlayStation, cool. Like, how many of us really don't have a computer or something like that will eventually be able to run xCloud on? Like, especially if it becomes an HTML-based app, like the Amazon Luna thing is going to be with iOS to get around the App Store. Like, Microsoft, we know, is developing that for xCloud, and their goal is to bring it to PC streaming. And I would eventually, PC, and I would eventually think that it might work through like Safari or Google Chrome or something like that on Macs. It is easier to play an Xbox exclusive than literally anything else. The Switch, it's a closed ecosystem. PlayStation, it's a closed ecosystem. Like, here, hell, you want to go, what device do you want to play on? Like, Microsoft is just like, here, play on whatever you own. Like, we're not interested in, we want you to buy the box. We want you to get invested enough to buy the box. But if you don't want to buy the box, we really want your subscription, or we want you to buy this individual game.
I mean, even to your point, though, like, if you're one of those people that can only afford to buy one system, and these games are important to you, or the potential of these games is important to you,
right?
The Microsoft ecosystem is, any way you slice it, the cheaper system to get into.
It is.
If you buy a Series S and it's cheaper, or just buy a Game Pass subscription and play on an Android device right now.
Yeah.
Which you can do for, I'm assuming, probably under $100.
Yeah, $14.99 a month for the Game Pass subscription, and you can definitely get an Android phone that'll run it.
Yeah, I can get an Android phone that'll run it for. I guarantee you, I could walk into like a Boost Mobile or something and probably get one for like $50 to $100.
Yeah.
So
I feel like at this point people can, and I understand this was a Phil Spencer interview, but I think a lot of the speculation we've seen just seems intent on, we're only going to present the negative side of this. Like, again, like I was that kid when I was a teenager who could not afford more than one console. I bought Xbox because all my buddies played on Xbox. We did LAN parties every weekend for Halo. I never owned an OG Xbox. So I bought a 360 for two things. I bought it for Halo. And Halo 3 was still 2 years away. And I bought it for Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Like there is no third-party company I associate more with a console than I do Bethesda with Microsoft.
Correct.
Like seeing the retrospect from Todd Howard and Pete Hines, for example, when this deal was made, and them saying like, we came to Microsoft back in 2001, 2002, and we were like, what about bringing Morrowind to consoles? And they're like, we thought it was a weird idea, but their engineers were like, no, that can like totally happen. Like, we'll work with you to make sure Morrowind runs on it. And it was this thing, like we had never really had an RPG like that, a Western RPG on a console like that before. And Oblivion, pushed that boundary again. Like it was only on Xbox for a year, partially because the PlayStation was pushed back, but you could only play it there and on PC. Those games have always run better on a Microsoft console. That is undeniable. Like, look at how many people have literally said like Skyrim and Oblivion and Fallout 3 are like almost unplayable on PlayStation. I had friends who got Fallout 4 on PS4 and were like, I'm taking this back because it literally is not optimized. It cannot run. I'm getting it on an Xbox, or I'm just going to play it on PC. Like, that is your audience, is those two ecosystems. And that's not to knock PlayStation or to say like, oh, there aren't people on PlayStation who enjoy these. Like, of course there are. And it does suck for those people, but it's like, at a certain point, there's gonna be enough stuff. Like, you're complaining about, this is a few specific examples of people I've seen. Like, you're complaining that Bethesda's exclusive, that which includes Machine Games, it includes it includes Arcane and Bethesda and ZeniMax. Like, you're upset that Obsidian is exclusive. You're oh well, the Initiative's game sounds kind of like it could be kind of cool. Like, oh, I do like Forza, this and that. Like, there's going to become a point where you're like, okay, there's just too much. There's too much on this ecosystem. And that's Microsoft's whole point, is they want you to say, okay, that's it. There's enough I want to play. I'm doing the absolute cheapest thing I can to get into this. And then they know they've won, because then you're in it. Then there's always going to be one more thing. Like, oh, I'll buy some DLC here. Oh, I'll buy some in-game currency here. That's how it happens with Game Pass, because I am a direct participant in this.
I mean, we all. Right?
I don't know about this game. I don't want to spend. Oh, it's on Game Pass. All right. Oh, well, I didn't pay for the game. Maybe I'll pay $20 for the Forza DLC.
You know how many games I've downloaded
Silver and Destiny.
How many games I've downloaded and at least tried because they're on Game Pass and I didn't have to pay for them.
Probably approaching triple digits.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with Jim here. Just to end, I don't know who this negatively impacts, but if you are over the age of 18 and still complaining about this, I don't know what to tell you.
It's also still not as bad as nickel-diming players that you release the same game on all consoles, or I'd say both, and then you have exclusive content for a year or more.
I'd rather just have the game straight up be exclusive at that point.
Exactly. It's like, I'm paying.
Are you listening, Square Enix?
You listening, fucking EA? I don't like the fact that like the new Call of Duty is going to have an exclusive mode again, like an actual mode in
for
the
a
game.
year.
For a year. And I'm paying the same price. I'm now paying $70 for this stupid game.
Yep. It will not even come to PC. That's the most that and the deal with the Spider-Man DLC for Avengers are two of the more egregious examples, because it used to be before, oh, okay, you're just blocking it from going to like Xbox or PlayStation, whatever. Like, PC players can still get. PC can't even get it now. That and to everybody be like, oh, well, it'll come after a year. It's like, yeah, that would be cool if we weren't getting a Call of Duty every 12 months. If Call of Duty had a 3-year lifespan or something.
Exactly.
I could suck it up. I wouldn't like it, but I could suck it up.
But they also have crossplay now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can play.
That makes it even worse.
Except you could. These people can't play crossplay because the game doesn't exist over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I get it, but at the same time, like, this feels less shitty. Like, no one's bitching about the fact that God of War is exclusive.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense because
I mean, like
Sony
we said,
owns that studio.
I mean, like we said, like if Sony bought Bethesda, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. You know?
And that would be 100%.
Yeah.
So, Garrett Ward did have the question, do you think Bethesda games will ever ship on PlayStation again?
Yes.
I think that's so. I know that we tend to call ZeniMax Bethesda, so in that context, yes. The only thing that I think that Bethesda proper will release on PS5 is Skyrim again. I'm not even like, I know it's a meme. I'm not even joking at this point. I 100% think that you will see a PS5 version of Skyrim.
You think we'll
at
get
some
a? You
I
think
think
we'll
they
get a
should just let
4K, a 4K 120 frames with ray tracing Skyrim?
If you really want to, if you were really, and I do not advocate this for any way, but if you really wanted to piss people off, you would just you would upscale and make it a free update and be like, oh, it's part of the Microsoft library now. Like we're giving it the Master Chief Collection treatment, and then like charge $30 or $40 for it on
But
other consoles. Like
Skyrim is in 4K right now.
oh, okay. Like, you're talking to a guy who owns a 1080 TV. I don't pay attention to when something says 4K anymore because it doesn't affect me.
It affects me.
One of those people.
Yeah, I'm one of the weak ones.
You're one of the downstairs people. I'm literally doing this from my basement.
Anyways, no. To answer your question, though, like I said earlier, I think that like. To finish out the current Wolfenstein and Doom story arcs, I think that those will come. Dishonored, maybe. Prey, maybe, if it ever comes back. Beyond that, any new IP, nah. It's going to stay exclusive. And Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Sorry, if you want to play those, like, I hate to Don Matrick this, but you've got ESO and you've got 76? Question mark? You got Fallout. You have Fallout 4 in the PlayStation Plus collection. That's something.
I think it's I think it's based on production. I think that if the game's in production where they've already started and invested in those ecosystems, they will finish it out. I think if they're starting from scratch, just numbers on a spreadsheet, it makes more sense to just develop to the one console and then reevaluate after a certain period of time.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and we don't know like what's going to go on. Like, is Sony still going to allow dev kits to stay within Bethesda for PS5 because they'll technically be a Microsoft studio then? Like, we don't Mojang. Like, to my knowledge, the only reason that we even have Minecraft running on PlayStation is because Microsoft themselves and Mojang themselves do not do it. 4J does it. They have literally an outside studio that works with Mojang on it, so those units are not in Microsoft's offices. I mean, I guess you could have something like that, but like you said, like if it was already in development, I think, and that's why to me Starfield is the great question.
I think Starfield is exclusive.
I think it is too. I think Microsoft is 100% going to eat the loss on that because it was never announced what platform specifically was coming to. It just said coming next gen.
I think
all they ever
like
said.
that's
next
probably 30 to 40% why the purchase happened.
Oh,
it's a new IP.
It's the first new IP from them since Elder Scrolls.
Think of all the toys they could sell.
Think of all the times they can remaster this. Todd Howard is so happy right now.
The real question is Starfield coming to Amazon Alexa? And that we don't know.
I think, but I swear to God, this is the last thing I'll say. For everybody who's still upset about this, I promise you, Microsoft acquiring them, because ZeniMax was looking to be bought for a while. We have now had that independently confirmed by multiple senior people in the gaming industry, including Andy McNamara and Andrew Reiner of Game Informer, who were like, yeah, we've heard for years that ZeniMax was looking for a buyer and that Bethesda themselves almost broke off from ZeniMax to find a buyer. Like, they've wanted to be acquired for a long time. Microsoft is the best case scenario because EA almost bought Bethesda a couple of years ago, apparently. 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. That is a worst case scenario. Activision is a worst case scenario. Take-Two is a pretty bad scenario. Can you imagine having ads between Skyrim deaths a la 2K21?
That'd be awesome.
They're advertising horse armor.
I cannot fathom, and I know that technically with everything that I've ever agreed to in a terms of service that I know that ads could just be everywhere all of a sudden. But no joke, I almost tweeted, I wasn't aware that was a free game. That's the only way that ads are excusable, if I didn't pay for it.
Yep.
It's just, man.
Like, I don't mind in like racing games if you're like advertising the like names of racing companies or something within.
If it's on a billboard or if it's in game, I don't care. But literally, if it's a loading screen.
You used to complain about the Burger King billboards in Need for Speed Underground 2, and look how bad it's gotten. Like I digress though. There are so many, like, Amazon could have bought these guys. Google Stadia could have bought them. They have enough cash on hand. If Google really cared about investing in Stadia, they could have made a play for this. Like, can you imagine just how bad it would be? Like, I still don't know how I feel overall about this being a part of the Xbox family. It probably won't sink in until we see that first E3 where it's like Bethesda plus Microsoft. Like, until we see, like, Starfield exclusive fall 2021, it probably won't set in for me. But literally, like, you are still being able to access it. If anybody else got it, it would either be nickel and diming, it would be filled with ads, it would be unoptimized trash, or it would be locked within one specific box. And I don't know. I feel like this is kind of the best way for everybody to still get that, and for Bethesda and ZeniMax to get what they wanted.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have 2 more questions that I think we could answer relatively quickly. If you want to have your question read on the air, as we say here on Arsenal X, you can email us at arsenalxpodcast@gmail.com or tweet at us at arsenalxpodcast. Our first question comes from good old Deshaun Malone. He writes in. He says, "Hey, y'all. I know I could have just asked in the group chat, but what is the franchise you're looking forward to most on Series X?" Oh, jeez.
So are we going currently confirmed franchise, or like a wish of an older Xbox franchise to come back?
Like Brute Force 2.
Oh my god.
I'm not talking going that far back. I mean, maybe Blood Awake 2.
No joke. If anybody, I will buy Brute Force 2 to get into the Halo Infinite beta. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I would buy to get into the Halo Infinite beta. I'll just put it that way.
What
a lot of things I'd... Never mind.
What was that one game where you were like the blue guy with the spiky hair? Azaric?
Oh, God.
Where's the sequel to that?
It got like a 0.5. It was one of the early Xbox games. I just remember like 10-year-old me reading the Game Informer review of that and being like, oh, wow, that's bad.
Wait,
that's
what game is
bad.
that?
It's called Azuric. It's Azurik.
While Joe is looking this up for his horror,
I remember this.
Not currently announced to be coming to next gen would have to be Killer Instinct. I would love to see I can't fathom why that's not being continued. I understand Iron Galaxy got bought out, but still.
Where did they get? Who bought them?
Amazon.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I would really like to see a Killer Instinct for next gen. I think that was a slept-on gem until it was too late. It still played at Evo, so I would really like to see that. But in terms of currently announced stuff, I mean, outside of Halo, of course, I'm really, really, really excited to see what they do with Avowed. It's set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, which has an awful lot of lore tied to it. I have friends who absolutely adore those games, and I may give a shot at those, given how much I've enjoyed the isometric controls of Wasteland 3.
One of those is on Game Pass now, right?
Pillars of Eternity
The
Complete Edition. Yeah, Complete Edition or Definitive Edition, whatever it is on there now. I imagine Deadfire will probably come early next year. I think it might be on PC Game Pass. But I don't know about console because it's been on PC for a couple years. It just recently came to consoles like this spring. So, yeah, Avowed is my answer. Avowed and Killer Instinct.
Speaking of Avowed, I want to give Outer Worlds another shot.
I love Outer Worlds so much. I'm waiting for the second DLC pack to go back.
Yeah, I should probably wait for the DLC.
I want to play all the DLC together instead of playing it now and then coming back like months later.
Yeah. So. What about you, Joe? Besides Halo,
it's Halo. I mean, that's really what I'm most excited about. I mean, I guess just with the way, if we want to say franchise, it's Halo. Like that's the franchise I'm most excited about. I don't.
Where's my Warthog Racer game?
I mean,
it's a level in Forza Horizon 4.
It is, but I also think that there's like I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say something that 100% I could regret, and I'm more like there's a very high margin that I would regret saying this. I think with what they're doing with Halo, with what they've told us, it is the most forward-thinking idea around like a game, and that is the fact that Halo Infinite is going to be like a hub for everything that they do for the next 10 years, which is what Call of Duty should have started doing probably 3 or 4 versions ago. Kind of like what the Master Chief Collection is like an iterative version of. That's what I'm excited about with this. I am excited for them to invest. Like, this is like ground floor. That you're going to be able to invest your time and money into this thing, and then it's going to evolve with you. That's what I'm excited about. I don't know. I want games to look more like that. I'm okay with, but I don't like. I don't want to do what Destiny did, or what, I guess, which is like have a 1, then have a 2, and then like your piece. I want to just like let me just like know that if I boot this up, this is where everything's at.
Right. Which is what we think they're doing with Forza, by the way.
I think they should, and I think that more Microsoft games will do that now that they have like a model that they've kind of workshopped. Which is, especially with Game Pass, it makes all of this so easy. It's just like, it's okay, just download the game and all the stuff will be here, and you don't have to worry about it. It's like a way to have a subscription without being like a Halo subscription, or like your WoW subscription or something like that on top of like all the other stuff you have to buy. So I know that there's a big possibility that Halo could suck because there's parts about 4 and 5 that aren't great, but I am optimistic. And to be honest, like if that's the only game that if it works well, that's probably the only game that I'll be playing for the most part. I'll probably go back into Destiny when there's a new season of stuff. I'll probably pay Call of Duty whenever. I said pay Call of Duty instead of play, but it still works. I'll probably pay Call of Duty whenever like that comes out and it feels new for like a month or two. But I feel like when the new Halo launches, and if this is their 10-year franchise that they're going to put time and energy in, I feel like that's where I'm probably going to live for the most part.
Corey.
Man, I mean, with how great Gears 5's campaign was, I'm excited to see what they do with a 6th game. And I'm really excited to play Gears Tactics also. But, like, man, I don't know. I feel like that's just the easy answer, though, is Gears for me. I would like to see a Marcus Phoenix collection. I know that's trending on Twitter or whatever, but, like, I would really like that. I would like to see them do that for Gears. What they're doing for Halo is like just like a hub of here. Okay, like I would love to see them kind of say, okay, here's a Gears package where here are the campaigns, here are all the multiplayer levels. You can play whatever you want. Here's a list of whatever, right? Like I would love to see that with all of my favorite series actually at this point now. Like I don't know. I think what the Master Chief Collection has become is like a model for long-running franchises that are going to get upgraded in the future.
Yeah.
Like there's no better way to do it, I feel like. And yeah, they obviously stumbled with the multiplayer stuff out the gate, but like what it is now and what they're kind of pushing it to be in the next couple weeks or the couple months or whatever, it's like it's what a remastered collection should be now. And I would really love to see them do a Gears collection, even if it's just those first 3 games or 4 games or whatever. I don't know. I'm excited for Gears. Just thinking intently.
I think that means it's probably an honest answer.
Yeah.
And it's like every bone in my body when I said Halo, like it's like don't say Halo.
Yeah.
Because that's an easy, but it's like that's my honest. Like, I would be happy if Halo's good and they fulfill like a hub of Halo. Mm-hmm. Remember Halo Waypoint when there's that app on there that fucking sucked?
Yeah.
Like,
and every time you opened a terminal, it would pop the app open.
Load it. Oh no!
Gross.
so bad. And then they just kind of left it, which
Yeah.
made it worse because you'd go in there and they'd be like, "Hey, you can watch the what was it? What was that? Cripes. What was the live action like short series
Oh, Nightfall.
Nightfall?" They're like, "Hey, you can watch that in the Halo hub." And I'm like, "Oh!" And I remember one night, I begrudgingly, I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna
It
fucking
was
watch
so
it."
bad.
It's not good. It's not good.
I think Forward. I think
Um,
Forward Unto Dawn was better. I actually really
It's
liked
still
that movie.
bad.
it was okay. I We don't have to get into how bad almost every movie adaptation of a game is because the game is the superior. I love movies. I went to school for film. I love movies.
Mhm.
But I'm sorry, but video games are a better medium for telling a story in a lot of way because they're immersive and it has personal choice and you get to play through stuff. So then you go back and like it's the same thing as when you make a movie and then they have like a book version of the movie. And it's just like it's just not as good
Yeah.
because it
Well, I read
wasn't
this.
the better medium.
I read this article the other day that's like Mass Effect wouldn't make a good movie, but it would make a great TV show. I'm like, no, it wouldn't. The whole you
No,
eliminate
what
the whole purpose of why that game exists is like your choice and why it matters.
choice.
Unless it was like one of
No
those
one
Netflix interactive movie things, but then it's like, and then you might as well just play the game at that point. Like,
correct.
ugh.
Correct. Yeah.
Speak,
It's
speaking of, what do you think of this Tom Holland picture floating around of him as Nathan Drake in his like Walmart zip off pants? Remember those pants that
I
just
don't
turned
ha-
into
I don't
shorts
hate it.
because you zipped them off at
Yeah.
the knee? That's what he looks like he's wearing.
I don't hate it. I actually really like the look. It does look. It looks like they literally took Nathan Drake's clothes and put them on a 20-year-old.
well, they didn't
I-
tuck it. They
By the
didn't do a
way,
front tuck.
They did.
I don't hate this.
Mark Wahlberg did post on his Instagram him in a mustache today.
Oh Lord.
So
I forgot he was in it. My excitement immediately just went like right back down.
this
Hey, Mark Wahlberg's fine.
this movie's been in
No.
production so long that he went from playing Drake to playing Sully. And
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. How many directors did we go through that were attached to this?
Like
There was
six?
a lot. There was a lot. I would care more about any of this if it's good.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
again, I have never seen a movie version of a video game thing that like I would say is good.
I don't know, man. Doom was pretty good.
I've watched Doom recently.
With the whitewashed Prince of
I
Persia.
know you're a liar. But even best case scenario was like The Witcher, which was a TV show, which doesn't I wouldn't discriminate between TV show and movie. Like if you can create
Yeah.
a good thing to watch, I would be open to that. But even The Witcher, I would say is only good because like I'm interested in that. The same way that like when I watch that Halo stuff, I can get through it because I like that universe
Mhm.
and I realize that it's not great,
Yeah,
but it's also like I just want to see what it is. So I think if you were to show that Witcher to like a lot of people that aren't invested either in the game or the books already or anything like that, I don't think they're going to give a shit about that show. And it's
Yeah.
good. Like it's good.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
just
when I watched
but
it,
it's
it was fine. Like it was just fine.
Correct.
You know. And I feel like if I
Yeah.
was like super invested in The Witcher, I would have liked it more. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's fine. You know, it's
I don't think that the Uncharted movie is going to be good.
no.
It's prove me wrong.
What's going to be better?
Change my mind.
What's going to be better, Uncharted or Indiana Jones 5?
Uncharted. No
I
hesitation. Uncharted.
As someone who
Absolutely
loves,
Uncharted.
as somebody who loves Indiana Jones and like still thinks that the fourth movie is extremely watchable, why are we doing a fifth one with Harrison Ford?
Is Harrison Ford gonna like be in a wheelchair or have a walker by the time they film this?
No, he's going to be in a BJ Blazkowicz robotic suit
It's
so he
gonna
can
be his
fight
quest
Nazis
to go
in
to
the
the
future.
Rite Aid to get his prescriptions changed.
It's
Like,
it's set in current day.
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna be going down to the Rite Aid to check his blood pressure and buy some Ensure.
I don't know. I
Ugh.
don't know. I just
Sorry, Corey, what's our last question?
Yeah. What, you don't want to talk about 80-year-old Harrison Ford Indiana Jones?
The Monster Hunter movie, and I'm going to get mad again.
What did you think of that monster? No, I'm just kidding. Ashley Davidson writes in. She says, "Hey guys, my partner and I got an Xbox One. Never got an Xbox One, but I've decided to get a Series S, even to go so far as to pre-order one. We are also getting Game Pass. So, what two Xbox One games each would you recommend? The backwards compatibility feature is really nice for this. We're into all sorts of games, mostly action, adventure, and story games. Thanks."
I'm going to take this to mean exclusives. But that's just my personal interpretation of it, because both my answers are exclusives anyways.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking that too, because, like...
Yeah.
What if you weren't playing exclusive games, wouldn't you just play them on PlayStation? But...
Quantum Break and Sunset Overdrive.
I was gonna say Sunset Overdrive for sure.
I think Quantum Break is, like so many other games that came out on Xbox One, it was a prototype for a game that came out that was arguably better than it later on. Actually, not even arguably. Like, Control is better than Quantum Break in almost every way, but it is clear how much of the design, the movement, the shooting, the power, even the powers.
Even some of the visual stuff.
Yeah, the visual style of it, like, it's very clear that Quantum Break was the first step in that, like, kind of shared universe. It called back to Alan Wake, and both of these games, I believe, are referenced in Control. Mm-hmm. It's a great game. You can choose to not download the 5-episode show, which I didn't entirely hate. It's not the worst thing I've ever watched. Like, good old Lance Reddick is in it. We love Lance on this show. It's a great game, and Sunset Overdrive is just one of the wackiest, most unique games, I think, of the generation. I wish there had been a bigger weapon selection, but there are few open-world games I thoroughly enjoyed and explored this generation as much as I did Sunset Overdrive. Obviously, it was the predecessor in terms of its movement to Spider-Man. I'm actually really sad that we'll never see a Sunset Overdrive 2, at least on Xbox. Mm-hmm. So, definitely two of my most underappreciated games.
Who owns the IP for Sunset Overdrive?
Insomniac.
Insomniac does own.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was now the whole Sony owns it.
Why they made it on Xbox to begin with was because Microsoft promised them they could keep the trademark.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yep.
Microsoft has publishing
Sony
rights
has
to the first game.
confirmed that they own the IP now.
Yeah. Microsoft owns.
That's kind of a bummer.
They own the publishing rights to the first game, but anything they do after this, it's Insomniac and Sony. So.
I've said it before. I will 100%. If they came out on launch day and were like, "Oh, by the way, next fall we're going to release Sunset Overdrive 2," you know how fast I would go to a Best Buy to camp out until the next shipment of PS5s came in, just to have one a year in advance for Sunset Overdrive 2. It would be disgusting. That's why I was crushed when Control was revealed at the PlayStation E3 conference in 2018, because I was like, oh my god, is this really going to be an exclusive? Like, the Remedy rumors about Remedy being exclusive are eating me alive. I don't like any of this. Mm-hmm. No, get your hands off my Remedy. Anyways, those are my answers.
What about you, Joe?
I mean, I think that Sunset Overdrive is probably... I'm looking at Game Pass right now. It's probably like the best action-y game, especially if you haven't had an Xbox One previously. Although, I guess it would probably be safe to assume that she's had a different console.
Yeah, she writes into the Nintendo show a lot.
Gotcha.
Oh, that may open up several other things then.
Yeah.
But I still stand by my answers.
Sunset Overdrive is probably the best exclusive action romp. Although the story in that's not great. At least it's fun though. So I feel like even if you're it's lighthearted enough that I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Alan Wake is a good game, although you said it's an Xbox One, not a...
God, I love Alan Wake so much.
It's a good game to just play through.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good game.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably name 360 games too.
Right?
Like, You could probably name 360 games, right? Like, I mean, I don't think that would hinder anything. I think Alan Wake would probably be a decent choice.
Alan Wake. I mean, Fable Anniversary. If you're gonna go into 360 games, like there's plenty of them.
Yeah.
Not Fusion Frenzy, but plenty of other good ones.
Fusion Frenzy's fine.
Fusion Frenzy.
It's a good party game.
Oh man, I remember every time we would get tired of Halo for like 10 minutes, we'd play the Fusion Frenzy demo and then go back.
Oh my god, same. I had it on one of the original Xbox magazine discs or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Play that.
For me, I would say like, I think Gears 4 and 5 are still worth playing through, even if you play it on easy mode co-op.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, those stories are really good, especially 5. I think 5 is just, I don't know.
The whole Gears series, the Master Chief Collection, like there's just so much.
Yeah, I mean, I would say play through all of the Gears games, but I know that, that you're going to get burned out if you play all 6 games in a row. So I would say 4 and 5, because they do a pretty good job of catching you up in Gears 4.
Should play Ori. They're on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I would actually, if we're going to include 360 games in here, I would actually say maybe Fable 2 is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's aged well or not. It's been forever since I played it, but I remember loving it.
I never played Fable Anniversary. I played Fable when it first came out.
Same here.
Is it worth playing the Anniversary version?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm. Hey, Fable 1 did not age well at all.
You know what is a great 360 game that...
Alan Wake?
Actually, this is nowhere in any of the thing that you asked for, but Viva Pinata.
I was just looking at
game.
Viva Pinata. I was like, man, I wonder if he's going to say Viva Pinata. Man.
Viva Pinata is basically Xbox's Animal Crossing.
It's so good.
Yeah. Where's
the amount of time I've wasted in that?
Get Rare Replay.
Imagine.
No, it's on
Game Pass.
Yeah, I know. So is Rare Replay.
Why hasn't Microsoft like hit up the Animal Crossing craze and was like, we need a Viva Pinata remastered or something?
Just like an online Viva Pinata.
Yeah. Why not?
Such a good game.
Phil,
while we're taking requests,
I know you're listening to this, Phil. Phil, buddy, friend. Consider us friends. It's a free one. Online Viva Pinata. Make it free to play, maybe. Give us cool season pass stuff. I don't care. Just give it to us.
Also, please give me a sequel to Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
That might happen. I keep seeing pop up every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there an interview that said, like, is there another Banjo or Conker coming? And they said that's up to Rare. They can work on whatever they want type thing.
That's also a great answer.
Yeah.
And actually,
like
if you've never played any of the Banjo-Kazooie games...
Wait, why isn't Conker on here? I guess it's part of Rare Replay.
Conker's in Rare Replay. They never put Live and Reloaded up for 360 or original Xbox to Xbox One backwards compatible.
It's not backwards compatible?
No, Live and Reloaded is not, but the OG Conker's Bad Fur Day, the N64 edition, is on Rare Replay.
Yeah, well, I have Conker's Live and Reloaded for Xbox. I didn't know it's not backwards compatible at all.
No.
Why? Is there like a licensing thing in there? Is there like...
There might be. I honestly don't know. I would love to play the multiplayer again.
I don't even care about that. I just want to play like a better version of Conker.
This is on every console, so it's not exclusive to anything. But Hollow Knight,
yeah. If you like exploration and like Metroidvanias, that Ori you cannot go wrong with.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to go through Game Pass because I don't often just scroll through it. But if I'm just trying to like put a filter or lens on, if like I was the first time going in and looking at the list, part of me is always going to expect it almost like Netflix, where it's like 90% of the stuff I don't care about and I have to search for the 10% I do. But then going through this, like there's a lot of really good games on here.
Yeah,
like a lot.
Mm-hmm. Like The Messenger and Katana Zero on Game Pass, and Indivisible and Crosscode and Hollow Knight, and like all these great indie games are on here.
Mm-hmm.
But also like think about like what you would normally have to like the subscriptions, the games as a service games that are on here.
Mm-hmm.
Like No Man's Sky is on here, like a huge thing. Like Minecraft. You have Destiny now that's on here. You
Mm-hmm.
have all these games that if you really want to sink your teeth into a game and not just play like an indie game or a single play, like there's a lot of stuff like that really gives you a lot of longevity in here.
I also want to mention that all of the Kingdom Hearts games are on Game Pass. And I hate to say that instead of the Game Pass sticker, it says owned on my
I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game.
Speaking of games that don't age well,
Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 do not age at all.
unless you enjoy playing a PS2 style platforming / hack and slash RPG. I mean, even Kingdom Hearts 3 is that way. So I bought them all on Xbox when they came to Xbox, and I was like, I'm going to play through the whole series. This is going to be great. And I played like part of the first one. I'm like, oh no. And then I loaded up. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump to 3. Loaded up 3. I'm like, this plays exactly like Kingdom Hearts 1. And it's 17 years later. Pass. So I'm still going to play them at some point. But man. By the way, Shadow of War is on here. Arkham Knight's on here. Nier Automata's on here. Man, it's been a while since I actually scrolled through Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Tales of Vesperia just got added.
Yeah. Tales of Vesperia, by the way. Great game.
What do you call it? The OG Tim Schafer games are getting added this week.
Yeah.
So Grim Fandango, Full Throttle, and Day of the Tentacle.
By the way,
should play Sea of Thieves. Download it once, play through it. Like
yeah.
Get a little.
If you get
going.
3 friends together, it is a super fun game.
It's fun with just 2 people. Me and Jesse used to play it all the time. It was fun with that too.
I did not enjoy it when it was just me and one other person.
No, well, you should get a better friend. Just kidding. Maybe. I don't know.
Josh left the call.
There's something else on here. Oh, you know what games that I'm surprised aren't on Game Pass? And we'll wrap the show after this. I'm sorry. Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey aren't on here, which were Mistwalker's RPGs.
Yeah, I think that might be either a rights thing or something, because those are backwards compatible.
Yeah, and they gave away Lost Odyssey for free at one point.
Yeah,
which
is same with Dragon.
Which is one of the best Final Fantasy games that is not titled Final Fantasy, by the way. Lost Odyssey is amazing. I have the strategy guide for that somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but it's somewhere. I love Lost Odyssey. Like, no joke. Haven't played it in like 12 years, but I love that game.
He loved it 12 years ago.
I did. So, I can't wait for those Series X enhancements for that one.
Oh my god.
Imagine those turn-based RPG battles in 120 frames a second and 4K HDR magic spells.
If anybody is thinking about getting a monitor and you're deciding between frames, resolution, HDR, go for frames and HDR. Mm-hmm. HDR makes such a big difference. For whatever reason, I was playing around. I turned off HDR when I was playing Destiny the other day, and like immediately was like disgusted and turned it back on. It is so weird that it makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, it's HDR is now a must-have. So, yeah. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for writing in questions, giving us your feedback, listening to our 2.5-hour podcast. Everybody, hey, they wanted a longer show. This is where we're at.
True.
Literally asked for it.
They did. So I don't mind doing a longer show. I'm just worried about people's time, like your guys' time in particular. I'm
okay with doing a 2-hour show if we start before 9.
Yes.
Although we're still ending at 11.
No, I know. If it was up to me, I would start at like 8:15 or 8 o'clock or 8:15. And but Anyways, thanks for watching and or listening. You can find the show on podcast services every Tuesday morning or on YouTube, or you can catch us live on Sunday nights. Be part of the conversation on Twitch. Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you follow us. Follow us on Twitter at ArsenalXPodcast. Email us at arsenalxpodcast@gmail.com. Josh, where can we find you?
As always, I'm on the Tower Casuals Thursday night, and it posts on Fridays. And you can find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn. That's Finn with 2 N's, as always. And come follow me for my my sandwich talk and the like I said, the eager anticipation of next gen. Waiting to see if my console from Amazon will ever update to having a shipping date.
It will. It will.
It's easy for you to say.
Hey, mine from Amazon isn't coming to me. It's going to Jesse. So, Joe, where can we find you?
Check me out on Twitter. Check the show notes. It's way too long to explain as usual. I also stream every now and again. I haven't done that in a while. I think I need to start doing that. I for sure am going to stream when we raid in Destiny.
Yeah, I've already set it up to where I could stream here now. Although it's only going to be 1080p 60. I don't know how I feel about that.
It happens. People are watching on devices that I don't think that would matter. Oh, you have to play in that though, huh?
I think I have to play in that. So I don't know. Maybe I don't.
That's rough.
I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. But you can find me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on various things here on Boss Rush Games. I think that's it. Check out our website, bossrushgames.com. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Joe, for joining me tonight. You can follow Jesse at Phantom NXS everywhere. Also, we're going to throw up the X. Because this is Arsenal X, the Xbox show. Goodbye, everybody. Josh hates me. It's fine.
I refuse to do it.
Hey, bro.